All right, what's up, Trails Collective crew? This is Ian and the Matrix Lasagna back with another round here. For those of us trying to navigate this broadcast, just know that the Matrix Lasagna is working on Eastern dial-up standard time, and he'll have a little bit of time lag there. And I think that's just part of his Matrix Lasagna persona. So those of you who know Matrix Lasagna and any number of other personas, you know that, well, I don't know, there's some rhyme and reason to them. So I think this is part of it. So just roll with his occasional lag times. He's otherwise, I think, of sound mind and spirit. So we'll roll with that. So thanks for joining us tonight. If you have comments or questions, for sure, drop them in the comment box. I'll either choose to just full on ignore them because I think that I should ignore them, or in most cases, I'll pump them through to the screen and we'll have Zach or Lasagna weigh in on it. So I am thankful and stoked for the opportunity tonight to connect with both of you guys because I think that you are kindred spirits, and it's fun to see you guys together in your dynamic. And even the joke ahead of going live here, I think, was a testament to that. So you guys are good together. So with us tonight is my friend and teammate Matt, the Matrix Lasagna Lipsy, a phenomenal trail runner, artist, soccer ball juggler, and really all around talented individual in some ways. Other ways, probably not at all. And then also a good friend of our guest, Zach Miller. So hopefully they'll connect there with some stories. And then for those joining us not already familiar with Zach Miller, I'm assuming if you're on here, you're already familiar with Zach Miller because you don't really care about me or really Matt, so you're here to hear about Zach. So I'm assuming you know Zach's deal, but I'm going to tell you if not. So Zach was born, and I didn't know this. I tried to do my due diligence here. Born in Kenya to a missionary family. And Zach grew up just a bit west of my hometown in Lancaster County, PA. A committed soccer player from Hempfield High School. He's a grad, also District 3. Props to your high school team for winning districts this past November. He moved on to run and complete a program in mechanical engineering at the Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, just north of where I am now. Post-collegiately, he cut his teeth at the Conestoga Trail Run, cultivated the seed while working on cruise ships before spending a bit over 4 years as a full-time caretaker at the bar camp on the eastern flank of Colorado's Pike Peak, before returning home to Lancaster in 2020. In that span, he found his channel, becoming one of the best endurance mountain runners in the world. Some of those efforts have included wins at the North Face San Francisco, Lake Sonoma 50, Switzerland CCC, the Little Kids Race, 2 top 10 finishes at UTMB, and a member of the Team USA for the mountain and long distance worlds. And potentially the biggest notch in his belt, which I referenced, current course record holder at the Conestoga 10-miler. So Zach, thanks again for joining us prior to the New Year's on the New Year's Eve special, and I'm stoked for the opportunity to have you back on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Right on. All right. So one thing that you are most known for, let's start off with your domicile arrangement. So where are you at? Where are you at the moment? Are you still home in Lancaster?
Yeah, I'm still in Lancaster. I'm here. I'm still working on my bus. It's getting closer. I'm waiting for a couple COVID shots, and then I'm trying to get out west. So yeah, but I have my first shot tomorrow. Then I'll have to wait like 3 weeks for my next shot. So the goal is to like mostly finish the bus while I'm waiting for that second shot.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, cause I'm kind of itching. I love the East, but I've been here a while and I'm itching to get back and see some friends and hit some trails and stuff.
And this was, seems like it was probably a fairly, and we'll get into it, I guess, a little bit, but when you left bar, I mean, you're not on a set timeline here, right? I mean, I guess that's the beauty of the moment, that you can kind of be home and figuring things out and work on.
Yeah. I mean, like, I finished caretaking at bar camp and the world kind of blew up. So I came down to like civilization at a very strange time. Like, I lived on a mountain for like 5 years, like in the back country, you know, no road to where I lived. And then when I came off the mountain into society, there was like a global pandemic and a whole bunch of other stuff going on too. And it was like
crazy time. And I know that checking, stalking, I didn't prior, but stalking some of your Facebook posts prior to this, just seeing, I mean, you're pretty active and engaged, right, as well. I mean, I saw one of your you had your election or your ballot or whatever inside, like waterproof, and you had some kind of socially active related posts. And so you're pretty engaged. So, right. So now is a pretty crazy and inflamed time.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But yeah, it was just also a good time to, like, since everything was so crazy and racing was kind of like mostly non-existent, it was a good time to go home and spend time. Pretty much all my family lives in Lancaster. So it was just a good time to go home and spend some time with them after I guess 6 years in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And plus I bought my bus in Pennsylvania and I had a lot of work to do on it. So I just kind of hunkered down here and have just kind of just like kept staying.
Sure. And I guess Lancaster's grown up quite a bit, at least since I was younger, which was well ahead of your time to a certain extent. I mean, but it's really grown up, right? I mean, otherwise I could have said back in the day, maybe COVID wouldn't have had a biggest impact on Lancaster. I mean, it was a fairly still smaller community for sure, more rural, and maybe things would have kind of gone about the way things were. I mean, does there feel like much of an impact home with COVID, like everywhere else?
I mean, there's an impact, but Lancaster City is a pretty small city. The county itself is really big, and there's a lot of people in Lancaster County, but there's also a lot of rural parts of it. So, like, given my lifestyle, and like I'm staying where I grew up, where my parents live, and that's like, not like super remote, but it's not like in a city or anything. So like, I don't really I guess like I don't really feel like my life has changed a ton, other than like there's a lot more things you kind of have to think about when you do go out in public or whatever. And there's a lot of stuff on the news, but like really, like, I mean, I wake up, I still get up, I go out, I train, I do my thing. Like, my days are spent like outside on the roads and the trails and stuff like that. So, it's not like even when I'm training, like I don't usually go to a gym. So it's not like I even had like a gym closed down on me or anything like that. So, yeah, my life, I guess, is fairly COVID friendly, I guess you could say.
Yep. Yeah, and that's fair. All right. So with this time spent in the van coming along, so for those of you who aren't in the know, Zach has a pretty sweet 1998 Ford Econoline 350, I think it is. Is that the gig?
You did your research.
Does she have a more formal name yet?
No name. I've never been like super into naming my vehicle. Like I've never named my cars. I just haven't. And then when I got the bus, I was like, it's kind of quirky, so I was kind of like, maybe it should have a name. And then I never named it, and I still haven't. The closest it has to a name is Bud, because when I'm texting people about my bus, it always corrects bus to Bud. So I'm like, oh, Bud is coming along. And it's like,
especially some of that with the Pennsylvania Dutch as it works in. I mean, that could roll in.
Oh, Bud. Oh, the Bud is...
And then knowing that, Lipsy, that you're still, or Matrix Lasagna, that you're still on a 5-second delay here, I'm going to pause for 5 seconds so you hear what I'm saying, and then maybe you can respond in on whether you think Bud is an appropriate name for that bus.
Okay.
Whoa!
I answered 5 seconds early. No, I answered 5 seconds early.
That's good. And you got some quality time spent on that. You guys took a trip down south, I believe it was.
Yeah.
All the way down south.
All the way down south.
Chattahoochee.
That's good.
Yeah.
And you went down there.
Reels when we crossed the Chattahoochee.
Yeah, that's That's good. All right. And so
Never knew how much that muddy water meant to me until I crossed it. And then it was like, I bet it gets hotter than a hoochie coochie down there. And Zach looked at me and said, I betcha.
all right.
And then we
Now
put
we're gonna
that
go
song
back-
on right away.
So what's the plan for the conversion? And so in this next phase is to, I mean, you're going to sleep in this thing, or are you just going to use it to get out and be for like day runs, or what's the vision for the Econoline?
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of feel it out, but yeah, the idea is I'm gonna live out of it. I mean, now maybe I'll get like a few months in, I'll be like, this isn't for me, you know. And even if I do that, I figure it'll be a great training vehicle. Like, even if I'm like, oh, I'd rather have an apartment, you know, I'm gonna like find a place to rent, and then it'd be the perfect vehicle for like a big training weekend in the mountains. Like, go out to Silverton, you know, like park it on National Forest land and just have a big like training weekend or week and come back. But I don't know. I think I don't know. I feel like it fits my style though. So hopefully I'll dig just kind of life in the bus.
Yep.
But I see it having a lot of flexibility. Like, I'm not really locked into like one way of using it. It can serve a variety of purposes for me.
Yeah. And so you mentioned just Silverton. I'm assuming most people know Silverton. Pretty cool, amazing, beautiful part of the world. But your spirit is still somewhat, and you referenced this when you were leaving Bar and the community that you built around Colorado Springs. But I mean, your spirit is still around in Colorado. You referenced, you know, maybe not leaving, but kind of you'll be back. And Colorado's kind of still in the intentions.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm not really tied. It's kind of bad. Like, I have so many options. It's like so good it's bad. Like everybody probably outside looking in is like, oh, you have like so much freedom. It must be great. And it's like, well, it is, but it's also like I'm bad at making decisions. So it's like I have too much freedom. Like, I don't know what to do. So I'm at least gonna go to the Springs, at least for a visit, because like all my friends are like, "Hey, when are you coming back? Are you coming back? Like, when are you gonna be here?"
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to see my friends, and I really like the Springs area. Like, it's probably one of the like, it's probably a bit underrated, but that's okay. It can stay underrated.
Yeah.
But I really like it there, and my friends are great, so I'm gonna go back and see them. It remains to be seen if I'll like make that my home base or if I'll wander somewhere else. But I love Colorado. I also like my good friends, the Vargos, Chris Vargo and Alicia Vargo. They actually just moved to Breckenridge, so it's like now there's like even more reason to be in Colorado because they're really good friends of mine. But I don't know. I'm not closed to like going elsewhere as either.
Yeah.
It's just I guess like I the world is kind of my oyster, and I haven't decided how to crack it open yet.
And it's great, right? I mean, you say, you know, bad at necessarily making decisions, and I get that, like in the moment, especially when you've got too many decisions where you can kind of go anywhere. But I would assume that for most of us tuning in from the outside or stalking you from afar or whatever, you know, we're kind of living, you know, we think you're making wonderful decisions, right? I mean, I don't know, maybe some of us have. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome because so, you know, I don't know. I mean, I guess you can look at things any number of ways and from different vantage points, but it seems like you're in a pretty amazing spot. I mean, you value where life's brought you. You kind of you respect and you're thankful and you're grateful for where it's found you. You're still, I don't know. It seems like you're in a good place. So it seems like you're making some pretty fine decisions.
Yeah, and back when I not when I left bar camp, when my buddy Lonnie, he's from Lancaster. He grew up Amish. He worked with me at bar camp for like 2 years, and when he left bar camp, I went on his like, we call it our walkabout. Well, he didn't really call it his walkabout. we were having dinner with a friend in Colorado Springs, and we were about to take this road trip. And he was like, "Oh, so you're going on a walkabout," which is, I guess, like what you do when you try and like find yourself or whatever. And Lonnie's like, if you know Lonnie, he would not be like, he would not really be into a walkabout, like, or at least not calling it a walkabout. But we were like, yeah, it's our walkabout. So we went on this walkabout, and we went like, we went to like Wyoming, Montana, Washington, Oregon. We visited David Laney, like, and up in Washington and like California. And we're just like going all these places. And I was just like, man, there's like so much stuff. Like there's so many cool places. And there's so many, like, even if you just break it down to mountain ranges, like there's so many cool mountain ranges that I've like never even seen. And I was like, man, it would be a shame to like die and never see these things, which is kind of like, it's kind of like crazy or whatever. Like you're not going to see everything, but at the same time, it's like, it's out there. Like if it's out there and I am capable of going to see it and explore it, like I should do that.
Totally. There was a few years ago when, and Matrix, I'll unmute you here in a second. So get prepared to in 5 minutes, you're going to be asked or 5 seconds, you're going to be asked to speak. I think when you were considering, Matt, moving back to the Harrisburg
I'm going
area,
to put myself back on mute and fart real quick.
Good. All right. So I think I was giving you a little bit of a hard time when you were considering saying you wanted to move back to Harrisburg. And I was like, man, Harrisburg, like why do you want to move back to like the Harrisburg area? And you had some, and I think after, we connected, maybe it was even texting when I was driving back from Breakneck Point, but I think I reflected and I was like, I think your responses reaffirmed though, that it's really about the community that you find places. And then this was also when I was prepping for this a little bit and watching Billy Yang's just wonderful film and reading some of your prior interviews, it was really, you go kind of wherever you go, you've got amazing community, and you both have referenced the amount of amazing trails within like an hour of Lancaster, whether it be the Conestoga Trail, whether it be the AT. I mean, you've got some really beautiful trail access. And so, this tied into you as well, Lipsy. You've also traveled a good number of places, whether it be from world teams or from racing around the country. And you've seen some of these beautiful locations, but you're happy, you're kind of content. You like the community, you like the relationships you've built, and you value that. And Zach, I see you finding those, in places that you are as well. But that's also, we can roll on this for a minute. But how does coming home, how do those trails feel knowing that you've been, like, even when I was just watching a clip today of I think it was like the Buff Epic race in this amazing, beautiful course, that's got to kind of change the perspective where, that's amazing areas.
Yeah. There's a lot of amazing stuff out there. And, but that's the thing. It's like and Matt can chime in about like how great PA is, because Matt is like the PA spokesperson. But like there's amazing places all over the world, but it's like every place has something great, and it's like it's fun to go elsewhere, but you also like don't need to go elsewhere. Like Pennsylvania is like, I don't know, I still love it. I was just out, like, I finished a workout like 5 minutes before this call, and I was just out riding my goofy stand-up bike. That
is pretty goofy.
But it's incredibly fun. And I was like watching the sunset over the farmland and stuff, and I was just like this is really great. Like I love this place. Like I love Lancaster. Like I'll always love this place. Like, and I enjoy training here. And Matt, Matt can chime in on the Harrisburg area. The Harrisburg area, like, I don't think I really realized how good the Harrisburg area was until I like started coming home and hanging out with Matt, and him and like our buddy Clayton would take us out and show me things. And I kind of learned that like Harrisburg's like a pretty sweet spot.
So Lipsy, weigh in on 5 seconds. Again, for those of you just tuning in, there's a little bit of a lag on Matt's connection. So it makes it a little bit tougher for him to jump in. But Matt, go ahead and jump in with a little lag here.
Yeah. So like you're saying, and like Zach's saying, it's always going to be great to explore new places, but it's also great to explore old places in new ways. So every day you go out there, it's going to be different day to day. And, for sure, I love going new places and seeing new stuff. And you always get the more you see, the more you realize you don't know. And it's just, you know what I mean? So that when you go back, you take that new perspective and you see old things differently. So you're still learning new stuff about places you've always been. But for me, one of my favorite things about going to places that I've been before, like coming home and running your home trails, is like there's memories that maybe you and the people you share them with, that like when you pass a spot and you're like, oh man, this is where we saw a big snake. You know what I mean? And it just like you see it as you run by it. Like there's like a mental thing in your head.
This is where Dan flipped his paddleboard.
Yeah, exactly. This is where Dan flipped his paddleboard, almost killed himself in the Susquehanna. Yeah, and I think that's like, my favorite is when you can, the whole trail, it can be, I don't know, however long, like, whatever you're running. If it's a mile long, there could be 20 memories in that mile. You're like, oh man, the one year this place was loaded with millipedes. You know what I mean? Like, wonder where they're at this year. It just, I don't know. I think that's cool, is going new places. It makes you see old things differently.
But I respect you, Matt, for, again, I reflected on that that exchange that we had, kind of getting off of my high horse of locations, because it really made me appreciate just the community that you all have, and kind of knowing that you've been in a lot of amazing places, but just to know how strong your sense of community is. So I think that's pretty awesome. So speaking of some of that and where kind of you came on the scene and some of the things you've seen. So for most of us, Zach, you entered the trail and ultra running radar with the 2013 JFK win. And more so, I feel like at the time, at least, kind of the word or the media that I was getting was, it was in the context of you being called the cruise ship kid. And this was, I think, something right. Yeah. And so I think it was easy at the time, because that's kind of the sound bites, right? That's what the people lock onto. It's the three second sound bite or whatever. And it was easy to focus on the cruise ship of you at the time, and the lore of the treadmill, and this amazing runners doing it on stair repeat workouts. And while it seems like that was like the crux part of it, the reality was, it was what else was going on, that you were, I think the seed was just planted with your phenomenal run at the Conestoga, a 10 miler. And so that was just germinating. You were in these amazing places and getting out for multiple hour weekend efforts over literally some of the finest like trail playgrounds the world has to offer on the cruise ship ahead of time.
Yeah. I mean, it did. I guess, yeah, trail running did kind of spring off of Conestoga. I mean, I had run some trail races before that, but I think Conestoga was like the first time that it was like, oh, like maybe this. I think this was the thought I had after winning Conestoga, was like, and that was right recently after college, and I was like, this might be my thing. Like, that was like how it hit me. I was like, this right here, this trail running thing, this might be my thing. Because like the Conestoga Trail, for people who don't know, it's actually like 100-kilometer trail in Lancaster County, but it's a lot of like go on this country road and then, I don't know, like cut through this little bit of trail, and then maybe like go through this farm, this farm field. I don't even actually know, because I've never done the whole thing. I mostly just run the miles at the end, because those are the best like trail miles. But it's just a lot of like river hills that go just up and down and up and down. And it's like really rocky, and it's just a great trail. But yeah, nobody had ever run under 90 minutes on the course, and they were offering $100 to the first person who could do it. Mm-hmm. And I was out of college. Like, I had just like finished running 10Ks. I was, I'd run like, you average like 5:04 pace for 10K, and you're like, man, 90 minutes, like 9-minute miles, like, come on, you gotta be able to do that. And I remember going out like on the trail to like just see what it was like beforehand, and like it wrecked me. It was like I can't believe how slow this is.
You said that, right? It took you like 2 hours on one
It-
solid effort, and you're like 90 minutes. What?
Yeah, I don't like. I went out and back. I did like, and you can't even really do the whole course because some of the course is just like race day. The guy just kind of throws flags through the woods for certain parts, but most of it's on the trail. But there's like these surprise sections, sort of. So, but anyways, it just like wrecked me, and I was so sore. But then I came back on race day and I like kind of knew what I was doing, like sort of. And the course was marked, so I had like better markings to follow. And then actually I broke 90 minutes. And everybody was like, I don't know, it was like this big thing. Like people were surprised and I was just like, oh, like maybe this is what I'm good at. and then it just kind of snowballed. Like I went on the cruise ship and then I ran JFK and yeah.
So for all those, so the times for the people that kind of the bucket list or the living vicariously, so for those cruise ships, I mean, you went to some, I imagine, pretty amazing ports of call or entry or kind of whatever. Were there any, like still to this day, you're like these 1, 2, 3 places, or whatever, were like absolutely like mind-bogglingly like beautiful or inspiring or like just incredible?
Yeah, I sailed through that Suez Canal where that big ship got stuck. No, that wasn't like, that was cool. That wasn't like, doesn't really qualify for what you just asked. But
dude, I'm still missing
cool
shoes because of that damn shoe.
Because that ship got stuck, and everybody around the world was like, "This is crazy." And for me, it was like, well, I've been there. Like I've gone through that canal, and it's like, and they were like, "Yeah, they had to all go around the Horn of Africa now." And I'm like, and in my mind, like everybody's just like, I don't know, like. I don't know what their perception of sailing around the Horn of Africa is, but like I've sailed around the Horn of Africa and I've gone through the Suez Canal, and I'm like, yeah, like that is a problem because the Suez Canal is like go to the top of Africa, zoop, you're through, and the Horn of Africa is like it's way down there, man. Like Cape Town, like and like the actual Horn is like so far, and then like. You probably have some like nasty rough seas down there, and it's like depending on the time of year and the weather, and it's just like it was like, oh man, that was like a mess when that happened. But yeah, I went through the Suez Canal. No, I went all over the world. I've been to 6 of the 7 continents. The only one I'm missing is Antarctica. But I think if I had to say highlights of places I went. I loved Norway, like, cause we used to just go up to Norway and sail. Like we do like fjord cruises where we basically just sailed back in these like narrow fjords, parked at a town of, brought this huge cruise ship to a town of probably like, I don't know, 50 people or like 100 people, then just park our boat there. And then it's Norway, so the mountains just shoot like straight up. And so I would just go out and like I'd be like this camera like messes me up. I can't like get this.
Yeah, the right you go wrong. Yeah.
I'd be like, I just get off the ship and be like, okay, that one, that peak right there, and I just like run for it. And then you get up to the top and you'd be like, okay, got to make it back before all aboard.
which is incredible, right? I mean, totally. So that's the stuff that, from a distance, maybe some did, but for those that were getting the kind of the media bites, that's the part of the equation that we weren't necessarily seeing or hearing, was this, that you were out there on these, I don't know, like big mountains and putting in these, big efforts or whatever. And I imagine just completely falling, in love with the kind of where you were and what you were doing, and that just kind of setting the stage for the inspiration. Yeah,
I mean, I just loved it. It was just like, I don't know, like I did not like running on the treadmill. Like it was torture. So I lived for those days where I could go off the ship and run outside, and I would just explore. And yeah, it was great. Like, I mean, if I think back, I was like such a novice. Like, I don't know, trail runner, mountain runner, whatever you want to call it. But I just went out and did it, like, put on my shoes. And I remember we went to the Canary Islands. It was like, that was another place I really liked. And we went to the island. The Canaries are confusing because there's like La Palma and there's
Lipsy can
a
correct you if need be.
Yeah, there's a city and there's an island, and they're the same name.
I know a
but,
guy
like,
who knows Canaries. His name's Clayton. He can help us.
Okay.
He can identify
I
them
told you.
all by song.
Oh.
Hold on,
we
you
should
go ahead
probably-
and do your thing. I'll
we should
call him.
Okay, get him on speed dial. But yeah, anyways, La Palma is like one place there's an island called La Palma, and one place there's an island called something else, but the city is called La Palma. So anyways, it gets confusing. But whichever island it is that hosts Transvolcania, which is La Palma, I think, the island of La Palma, I think. We went there, and I went out.
I know.
Yeah.
So this is like when Kansas City won the Super Bowl, and everybody's like, Kansas City, Kansas, and they're like, no, Kansas City, La Palma. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, but then they're like, you got to know the mating call. It's like tweeter, tweet, tweet. And then it's super
That's
clear
surprisingly good.
because you can't mistake a tweet. Like everybody knows what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
Peter.
Yeah, Peter. But anyways, we went to that island, and I got off the ship, and I just I don't know, I ran and I started running up, and then I just kept running up, and I got on a trail, and I went like way up. Like I think I basically went to the top of the island, which is impressive because I think it's like, I want to say it's like 8,000 feet. And I started from the ship, so I started from sea level. And I remember I get up there, and I basically know like next to nothing about ultra running. And I get up there, and there's this like older couple up there like hiking, and they're telling me like, oh, there's this race on this island, like it goes across this island, and I'm like, cool. And I'm like dying because I have probably like no water and like pretty much no calories, and I think they gave me chocolate. And then I'm like running back down, like you always got to get back down in time to like make the ship so that like you still have your job and you don't get left in some foreign place. And I like get back down, and I was just like, I got like the worst cramps of my life after that because I must have been so dehydrated. But it was funny. Like a couple of years later, I went back. I was running that race. like I had several races in the Canaries where I went back, I think, and I probably ran on like, I like retraced my footsteps from on the cruise ship. Like I went and ran Madeira Island, which is part of Portugal. And I ran, I'm pretty sure, through the same tunnels way up high on like the top of the island that I ran through when I was on the ship. Like when I lived on the ship, I would get off on that island. I'd ride my bike. No, not my bike. I'd get a bike from the ship, and I'd ride it to the top of the island and then run on the trails. And I'm pretty sure in that race, I like ran through the same tunnels because they have these like really epic tunnels that go through like these like just through the mountain on the top of it. And yeah, it was just like, hey, I like in that race, it's like, hey, I've been here. Like I've been here like 2 years ago, but I've been here.
Which is an awesome part of time and place, and something that Lasagna there mentioned earlier in terms of just reflecting and being able to place. And it's wild with trail run, and I made this like this with anything in life, but particularly I find myself doing it on the trails. Like you'll pass something that you remember, and it may be like years ago, but you'll remember kind of what you were thinking, or if you're with somebody, you'll remember kind of what was happening in the conversation, like at that spot. And it's pretty wild how that kind of fuses in the in kind of the neural networks there.
I think the word is imprint, like it left an impression on you.
Yes,
maybe
that sounds right. But usually when you make stuff up, which I can't tell if it's half the time making it up or legit, like it sounds either way is believable. So
neither can I.
So
don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's all about the sell.
I don't remember what it was, but the other day Matt was telling me he couldn't figure out if I was joking about something or not. And it's like are you kidding me? Like everything that comes out of Matt's mouth, like you have to question. And then I texted him something, and he's like, I don't know if you're joking or serious.
And that's a good Matt text voice right there, by the way. Yeah.
I forget.
That's what I sound like when
forget
I'm
what
texting too.
Yeah. I forget what it was that we were talking about, but he wasn't sure if I was.
All right, so let's get in some. I'm gonna go back. I was gonna get into 10,200. Let's just actually go there now. So following the cruise ship years, the 4 pre-COVID years found you as the year-round caretaker of the address of 10,200 Bar Trail. So at the outset, what were you hoping to find in that place?
Oh yeah, but while you brought that up, 1 second, I'm gonna get some.
Yeah. Matt, tell me what.
It's a whoopie pie.
Tell me. That's good. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Did you get whoopie pie?
No.
Sorry.
Well, it kind of
Did you
looks
get
like
whoopie pie?
Sort of. It looks like.
Oh, it's a
That's a George
wallet.
Costanza wallet.
It's my wallet. It's about as thick as a whoopie pie. It might be as thick as 2 whoopie pies. But
You know what a wallet is? You know what a wallet is? Hold on. A wallet is somebody scamming you because you're like, here, you need this thing to keep your money in. So you pay me money to have that thing to put your money in, but guess what? You don't have money anymore. Like,
yeah, because
that's what I think wallets are, man. Wallets are conspiracy.
All you really need is a Ziploc bag. Like,
I'm gonna go get my wallet. I'm gonna show you my wallet. Hold on.
Probably like the majority of my time caretaking at Bar Camp, my wallet was a Ziploc bag. Because you're a caretaker, you're always going up and down the trail. Like you didn't want stuff to get wet, so you just put your stuff in a Ziploc bag, and then I'd be like, then you'd be in town and you'd be like shopping or something. You'd be, oh, let me pull out my Ziploc bag. And I was like, I went to Alaska with a Ziploc bag,
back.
and it was like a hit.
So the wallet was a good testament of something that you didn't need at Bar Camp. Or when I brought up Bar Camp, you went to get the wallet. What'd you get that wallet for?
Oh, because my ID. So like,
the address
like, I don't know if you can see this. Oh, I still don't know where the camera is here. Somewhere on there, if you can read it, my address on my Colorado ID. Don't tell the state of Pennsylvania that I haven't switched my residence. I'm just visiting. It says 10,200 Bar Trail. So I have to. It's going to be sad when this expires.
Totally. You need to hang on to that for.
Yeah. I don't want them to take this from me. I want to like keep this forever.
That's got one of the coolest addresses ever.
I need to see if like maybe when I get it renewed, I can somehow keep that. Like they'd be like, oh, do you need a change of address? But like, no, just
no,
keep it.
No, I don't actually. Uh-huh.
But like, it's like golden if you get pulled over by the cops. Like you're just like, yeah, here's my address, and then they go to try and find you, to like send you something, and you're like, this guy, he tricked us. But no, it's actually not. Maybe it's not very good for that, but although I did have a run-in with the police one time. It's actually a really long story. Like they put me in a jail cell. It's a long story. I was innocent, basically, but
always good to lead with that. Especially, that's what an innocent guy would do. He would lead with that.
I might have been speeding. Good chance I was speeding, but all the other stuff that they thought I was guilty of, I was not at all whatsoever. But anyways, I don't know, they thought I was on drugs or something. It was probably like the long hair and the truck full of gear. And anyways, it took forever to get resolved. But when that happened, the cop, he forgot to give me my license back at the end of the night. And so the next day, anyways, so the next day I finally figured out I didn't have my license. And then I finally got the cop to call me back and admit that he still had my license. And I was at Bar Camp, and he was like, it's like if I came to the station for it, he had to like write a report or something. I don't know. But he's like, oh, just leave it in your buddy's mailbox. Peter Maximus mailbox. So I was like, yeah, just do that. Like I'll come to town and get it. But in hindsight, to my friends, because it was not a very good like interaction or experience with this cop. Now, I mean, I wasn't a jerk. I just like it was a weird situation, but anyways, it all got resolved. But in hindsight, I had said to my friends, I was like, oh shoot, I was like, I should have told him to return it to me.
Bring it up to
like,
you, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you messed up and you still have it, so please return it to my place of residence. Because I should have made him hike to bar camp, 6.5 miles, 3,500 feet of gain, and be like, okay, look, here's your license. Like, but I didn't. I missed my chance. But it would have at least proved to him that night I wasn't lying when I said I lived up the mountain. Like, when you live at bar camp, it's like it just sets you up for like a lot of awkward like situations. Like, okay, the cop pulls you over and asks you where you live. It's like, well, I live up there. Like, and I can only get there on foot. And it's like, yeah, this guy's like full of it. Like, but anyways, I really didn't expect to get into that story, and we barely scratched the surface. It all worked out. It just took like 7 months, but I didn't even get a speeding ticket. Everything got thrown out because it was pretty bogus. But anyways, my license says 10,200 bar trail. So that's what we used to write down for stuff. Like when you need a physical address, it was like 10,200 bar trail.
You were intentional. Cool. You were intentional about bar trail. I imagine it. So what was were you just like hunting for like job opportunities? I mean, how'd you find your way to bar trail, and what were you hoping to find at?
Well, the bar trail is just super popular. So like if you live in Manitou, you're going to run on the bar trail. So like I lived
in bar camp rather. Right.
Yeah. It takes you to bar camp. It takes you to top Pikes Peak. I mean, Pikes Peak Marathon, that's the race course. So I lived in Manitou with my buddy Brandon Stepanowicz. And I was working this job in town teaching kids about math and science with Legos. It was pretty sweet. But I would train, and I remember I ran up to bar camp, and I remember when I first moved to the Springs, you get up there, you're kind of like, oh, this is kind of weird. There's this cabin up here, and like there's people inside of this cabin. Like, what do they do? Do they just live here in the woods? And like, you know, like it just feels strange. And then but over time, like I got to know the caretakers, and I got to know the trail better. And then one day I just like heard that they were looking for new caretakers, and I was like, yeah, like sign me up.
Yeah.
So I pitched it to my sister kind of as a joke, because they usually look for couples, but I was just like, I was just a single dude. So like I pitched it to my sister, who's into the outdoors. She was living in Massachusetts, and I was kind of joking, but probably like hoping that she would maybe be like, yeah, let's, like, I'm interested. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
So we applied, and then we got it. And then, yeah. And then she worked there with me for like 2 years, and her boyfriend, and then they got married. So then husband, he worked there with us as well. And then they left, and then I stayed, and like I went through like several rounds of caretakers, because I just kept staying, and then like we'd hire people, and they'd like serve their time and leave, and I would just keep staying.
That's your commitment and your endurance and tenacity to hang in there.
Yeah, and maybe my lack of decision-making skills.
I was actually going to go there next.
I'll just keep doing this. Another year sounds good. Another 6 months.
But incredible for training, right? I mean, an incredible training ground.
Yeah, I mean, incredible training ground. Like you live literally on the trail. Like the cabin is on the trail. You step off your porch, and you're on a trail. And there's just like a lot of people that I think they have like blinders on when they go up the bar trail. They're just like, bar trail is like all they know. But there's actually like there's all these little other trails that like shoot off, and like there's so many cool routes you can do. And like, I mean, I basically just spent 5 years exploring Pikes Peak, like on
Mhm.
trail, off trail, like ridge lines, couloirs, like all sorts of stuff. Like it was just like my playground. I get like summit streaks going where I'd go to the summit like every day for like, I don't know. I don't remember what my record was. I don't know, like 10 straight days or something. Like I just like go to the summit like every day, or I do it like in the winter. I'd like get up at like 3 a.m. and I'd go tag the summit before I opened the camp. It
Uh-huh.
was just like, it was like, I think back to some of the stuff I did. It was like, man, that was awesome. Some of it was probably also like borderline stupid, but
Well, but it's
like,
I don't know, but, part of the experience. And all right, so let's get into, I guess, that toughness. All right, so next, all right, let's go with this one. Is this statement true or only possibly true?
oh,
All right, so given your family's foundation in Christian faith, have you found yourself reconsidering Hinduism or Buddhism, given that it's quite likely that you are the reincarnation of Steve Prefontaine?
I would say it's not true.
That's
'Cause
not one of your
'cause
choices, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
it's true or partly true?
partly true. Yeah.
Okay, partly true.
Or possibly true. Actually, it's possibly,
Possibly true. I mean, I have had a lot of questions lately, like just like faith is a wild like thing. It's just like, I get questions. I'm like, like what do I agree with? What sounds, what do I actually think? So
Mhm.
we'll go with partly true, because I do have questions, and I mean I do have this mustache, so like
true. You do, and that's close.
uh,
But even more than that, and that it's probably putting you on the spot and kind of awkward. But I mean, and maybe we'll get into a couple more pieces here. But just the way that you attack races, right? Or the way that it's kind of this, when it's on, you're like all in, off in the front end until you've got like nothing left, right? And that was something that seemed kind of maybe he was a little bit more. I mean, you're probably much more humble than Pre was, but it's awesome. You're kind of like the modern day Pre of the kind of trail ultra running world.
yeah, I guess I've developed that. I guess people have perceived it that way, or like, yeah, it has come across like that. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because in high school I wasn't really like that. Like, I was, I mean, I was like that in the sense that I would give you everything I had. But everything I had wasn't fast enough to be at the front.
which is really interesting. And we touched on that too, right?
So nobody was calling me Pre because I was like never at the front. I was just like the kid like in the front quarter, like in the back of the front quarter, who was just like going absolutely all out, but he wasn't winning the race. Like who's that? Like, oh, is that weirdo? Like, like in a dead sprint for the finish line with like nowhere near the lead, like so yeah, like I guess the spirit of it was there, but like I actually got into, in high school I actually got into this like this I got onto the train of like starting slow and like picking my way through the pack, which kind of happened accidentally because we had this race we had a scrimmage my senior year. We had a really good team, and we had a team that was good enough to potentially go undefeated, and I was competitive and I don't want to lose, but we had this scrimmage that didn't really mean anything, but in my mind it meant something because it was a race still and I wanted us to win. But our coach, we had a bigger, more important meet coming up, so our assistant coach was like, start easy, like we don't need to win this. Like, you don't have to go all out. And so I listened and I started easy. And then as the race went on, I just kept picking people off. And it's like, oh, I feel good. I feel good. Like, I feel really good. And I picked off like everybody except one kid. Like, this one kid from their team beat me. And afterwards I was like, I figured it out. Like, this is how you like run a cross country race. You just start easy, let everybody else like blow off the line, you know, foolishly, and then like you reel them all in. And that was like my strategy for probably basically like all of high school, like the rest of that season. But then like when I got to ultra running, it was totally not that strategy. It was just like okay, the gun goes, let's go hard, and then just like keep going.
Yeah, not at all, right? And that's kind of it's so all right. So I guess a follow up on that note, I was gonna go into comparing then who has the more kind of the arrow advantage between the miler Craig Engels with his mullet mustache, and then you with yours, and compare photos. But let's move on to on that note. Eric Senseman in 2018 JFK report, one of his quotes was Zach lives to compete. And when I was watching the finish line photo of UTMB CCC, the finish line announcers just kind of going off in that Euro style. I think their quote was, we told you he had only 2 gears. One is 0 and the other is full on. And both of those seem like fair assessments of you in racing, at least in your kind of trail and ultra running career so far.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I either like, yeah, I basically just like go for it, and if I don't get it, I either get it or I blow up and I like crawl my way. And I like crawl my way in, or sometimes I don't finish.
But it's interesting that you can even, to a certain extent, I mean, this is part of what makes. So let's bring in like Matrix Lasagna, like even, and then I'll go back to go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I do have that reputation, but like, I don't like, if you get me in a shorter race, I'm not necessarily like taking it. I'm not necessarily taking it out. Like if I come over to PA and I race Matt, like Matt takes it out hard. Like
he does, but
we raced Heiner, and like, well, actually, there's probably 2 stories here. We raced Heiner one year, and like Matt was running so fast. Like, okay, so Matt didn't make the film that Billy Yang made because there's shots in there of me running Heiner. It's like the closing shots, and there's shots of me and Ben Robinson running together. But Matt didn't make the film because Matt was running too fast. He was, when that shot of me and Ben Robinson like trucking along at the beginning of Heiner, Matt's like 100 yards in front of us because like we probably ran like a 5:10 and Matt opened in, I don't know, like a 4:50. And I'm just like, I'm not going quite that fast. So like that, but there was on a more humorous note, we raced each other. I didn't remember this happened, but I mean, I remembered we raced, but I didn't remember this detail. Matt brought it up the other day. We raced each other at Dire Wolf one year. And the same thing like happened, like boom, Dire Wolf is just this like little race in Lancaster County, and like I was home for a wedding, so I jumped in it, and Matt showed up, and then we like the gun went off, and bam, we took off, and we were flying, and I forgot, but Matt claims like, I don't know, like a half a mile in or a mile in, like I'm peeing while we're running, because I always like pee on the run, because like I taught myself to do this in like college. I just like I rarely ever stop to pee. I just like, once you learn how to do it, you're like, why would I ever stop? Even in training, I just like pee while I'm running, like, you know, like 8-minute pace. It's just like, might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So you just pull it out and do your business, and you know, there's a little bit of a splashing, but it works. It's just efficient.
Can I tell a story?
Yeah, so Matt can tell a story. It's probably funnier from his perspective.
All right, okay. All right, so gun goes off, and we're like, you know, flying, and I think it was further than that. I think we were like a mile and a half into the race, and it's double wide. Like there's some single track, yeah, and there's some double wide, a lot of double wide, and like some mode cross country. You went through these like farm fields, and then there's some single track and stuff too. But we're on this. We get onto a section of like double wide 4-wheeler path or something. So we're each in a trough, and we're trucking along. And like all of a sudden I look over, and he's got his dick out peeing. Like he's peeing to the left. He's not peeing like towards me, but he's got his, I'm like, what? I'm like, where'd you learn that move? And he's just like, but he's swinging one arm and the other hand's holding onto his dingus. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, I should probably look away, give the man some respect. But man, I mean, this is impressive. You know, I can't believe he's peeing. We're going 5-minute mile, and he's just peeing. I'm like, we're so close to the beginning of the race, though. I'm just thinking, why didn't he pee before we started? Unless he just wanted to show me
valid
this trick.
question there. Valid question.
But and the amazing thing is, I probably did, but I've like so like it's a slippery slope to teach yourself to pee and run at the same time, because like I feel like once I learn to do that,
you're just gonna do it all the time.
Yeah, and then your bladder has like I just feel like got really weak, because I was always like, because when you're in I remember being in high school, it was like almost traumatizing for me to like have to go to the bathroom on a run. It was like I gotta hold it, like you're running through developments and stuff, and you just feel like it's not acceptable to like pee in somebody's yard, which like now, I mean, I'll do the shoe tie thing, and I'm like super discreet. I mean, I'll sneak it pretty much anywhere. But like, you know, but it's like once you teach yourself to go on the run, it's like you never hold it anymore. Because I'm like, well, this is like, you have like a slight urge to pee, and I'm like, well, this is uncomfortable. I might as well let this out. And so you just do. And then next thing you know, you're peeing like every 5 minutes. And then before you know it, it's like you can't, like, it's like you have to, which is weird, but like, that's probably
what that's called?
What?
You know what that's called? That's called breaking the seal. That's what they used to tell me in college. As soon as you went pee, then you just had to go pee all the time.
Jason Coop tells me
Science.
that too. He's like, there's a seal, man. Don't break the seal. I'm like, I don't care, dude. Like, it's uncomfortable, and I'll be done in 5 seconds, because they're all like little micro pees, and then like I'll be good to go. I'll be comfortable again.
That's your primal urge. Maybe just kind of marking the terrain as you go, like my dog, which is peeing like every 10 seconds with a little micro burst.
Yeah. I mean, that's how like we're evolved to be. Like that's maybe this society of like toilets and everything has just like ruined us.
Or some may say didn't. Maybe we evolved out of that, but it's good that you're kind of taking us back to that spot, kind of de-evolving the species. But but this spun off of running just like hard and off the front. And let's pick up that question. So what I was going to say, and then I'm going to grab the question here from John Marangelo, who weighed in. Yeah, there were a few there, and I'll try to, for all those who have been weighing in comments, I'm going to try to grab some of them. Partly is because I knew I was going to kind of go to some of these areas.
Matt, half these comments are you.
So speaking just how fast you're out there running, though, I mean, I feel like this is also an amazing thing about you, and maybe you've progressed, you've got stronger, you've got faster, your training is different than high school, college, whatever you've developed. But to a certain extent, it seems like you're kind of fighting well above your weight class, so to speak, in terms of like what you can handle. Like I broke down the Lake Sonoma, just an example of one of your races early on, just because you had a phenomenal race and just battling out there. And that should be one that it's not that technical, of course. It should play well to somebody like Sage or, you know, whatever. But to have you hammer such a talented field, like when you break down the and I did this, I went through, and for the top, I think 10, I looked into all of their basically PRs in 5K, 10K, marathon, went through the list. And then I even ran you kind of through like Jack Daniel's VDOT table, just like out of curiosity to see where you came up. And it's amazing. So all you get like, like you get these individuals that maybe Krar, like a 4-minute miler. You've got Sage, who's not really fast. He's not really fast, but on the shorter distances. But then, you know, he can pull like the 2:15 marathon. You've got some 28, 29-minute 10Kers in there. So this brings up to like John's question earlier of you running like so hard, which doesn't seem like it should be in your wheelhouse to be able to hold it. When you're out there in some of like a 50-mile race, do you have the metric of what's your heart rate doing there? Like how is your body developed and how's it handling that tempo, whereas those faster people can't?
These are I'm glad you did this. I'm glad you like dug that deep, because like this is it.
Your VDOT 66 in case you were curious. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I've basically had this theory that like if if you tested me like scientifically,
And this
I
was
would
going to be another question of whether you
I-
had like a VO2 max test.
not an official one, but I've had this kind of personal theory that if you like put me on a treadmill with all those funky gadgets and you tested all my numbers, that I would be, and I kind of hope this is the case, but I kind of have this theory that I would be like incredibly average. Like I would not have a very special like VO2 max. I would not have I would actually have like wouldn't have very much like fast twitch muscle fiber like at all. But the one thing that there might be something that you would find that would be like, I'm super strong in this one thing. And I would assume that would maybe I'm really strong in like lactate
It would
threshold,
have to be threshold.
like lactate threshold. Like if there's a way to like that, or like if there's a way to measure like once you get to like this level of a certain pain threshold, like there's 100% pain and 0% pain. Like once you get to like 95% pain, like how long can you like hold that? Like if there's a way to measure that, that's maybe where I would measure like super, super high. But I feel like the chassis and like I don't know, like the components of my car are not like fancy. I just throw it at Redline and keep going, and somehow it doesn't blow up.
So I guess what I was more curious about when I was wondering if you had your VO2 max tested wasn't what your actual value was going to be. What I was curious, and this may get at to a certain extent what you're curious about. What I was curious about is how far you could take it. So I think I've had my VO2 tested just as part of like a strength study a couple of years ago. And I was about to say average runner, but I'm not an average runner. I mean, we're front of the pack runners, but like my times were a decent amount ahead of yours, like in college, and like in theory, you know, some of these, you know, should translate or whatever, but I'm really weak between the ears. So when I fall apart, like my mind just can't make my body keep going, and yours can. And so what I was curious about was like on the VO2 max test, all the times I've been tested, and I think it's 3 times in my life, I can't even get close to what I'm capable of. So they read out all of my like results, and I'm still climbing. Like I'm not dipping at all. But at that point, I've already pulled the plug. I'm like, I'm out. Like I don't want to do this anymore. Whereas other people, like one of my teammates, employees, Amelia, I don't know whether she's tuning in or not, when she was part of the same strength study, I think she went maybe both times, one until she, I don't know, collapsed. And like the other time, I think she like puked in like the apparatus or whatever. And she's one that in races, like she can just make her, like she'll just keep going even when she's broken.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering whether that would be you, like you go until literally you're shooting off the back of the treadmill or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think it would be. I don't really know because I haven't done that type of like test. But I mean, it's always interesting because you never know what other people are feeling when you're racing. Like I know that like I know what I felt like the years where like I had really good races at North Face 50 and stuff. I was like in a terrible amount of pain, especially that race between me and Hayden. I was in so much pain. Like I think there was somebody who kind of witnessed it. Well, I guess a lot of people kind of witnessed it, but I think the Ginger Runner or I think either Eric Strands or the Ginger Runner,
Ethan was out there,
or Ethan was on one of the descents that I was descending down into like Tennessee Valley or something late in the race. And I was at a point where it was like every time my foot hit the ground, it was just like excruciating pain. Like, cause everything's like all your muscles are like super sore. And I was just like, somebody was there, and I think they made a comment after the race that they saw me and they were like, yeah, like he was not like he was winning, but he was like clearly in so
not
much
okay
pain. Like he was like dying inside. Like, and I was just like trying to crush this downhill, but it was like every time my leg hit the ground, it was just like an explosion going off inside. And I was just like, and so like I know what I'm feeling in those races, but like I don't know what anyone else is feeling. So I'm
Mhm.
like I was ahead of Hayden. So it's like, am I ahead of Hayden because I'm faster than Hayden, or am I just ahead of Hayden because like I'm just like able to hurt more, or you know
And
what
to
I
your
mean? Like, because I
I
don't know that
yeah.
I'm any fitter. Like, you know, and maybe I am, but it's like those are the things that like we'll never know. Like I don't have those answers, and I guess that's kind of why it's interesting, maybe.
Sure.
But like,
Why it's also inspiring because and not that everybody can do what you're doing, but it's kind of like you're kind of like the working class, like underdog, like hero or whatever. Because again, you're like, I mean, you're doing it, and it's almost like the mind over matter,
yeah,
and it's incredible. You're kind of
but
like that
it's
outlier.
there's still like a limit to it. Like I do want like it's not like I can go out there and just like pull stuff out of thin air. Like there
Mhm.
is a lot of training that goes behind it,
Totally.
and it's like I can't. There is a limit. Like I and I've blown up in races, and it's like,
Mhm.
and I still want to win, but it's like, you know, this car won't go,
Yeah.
you know, and like so it's just like it's getting that day where like there's enough gas still in the tank to like let you dig into that hurt locker.
Mhm.
But there are days where it's like you've just tapped out, like there's no more, you know, like there's no more fuel in the tank, like, and you can't really like will it to happen.
And,
um
and
but
this,
I
well,
think there's
yeah.
days where like I think a lot of people leave something in the tank,
Mhm.
like, and there's certain people that are like really good at emptying it, and I don't know why. I don't
I
necessarily
think
know
this
what makes that.
I think it speaks to I don't know. I was really hoping there'd be a follow up to Tim Noakes' lore of running, and knowing that he was working quite a bit at digging into the central governor and the brain, and it seems like there's a really big role there of what individuals' brains maybe it can be retrained, but will basically allow them to access and what it'll allow them to push through. Like I'm knowing that I'm, as I mentioned, like weak between the ears, it seems like my brain will just kind of like shut me down. It's like, dude, you're kind of done. You're just going to switch to a shuffle. Whereas somebody like you, it's almost like you're able to override that in the central governor. You don't have that same switch where it basically allows you to dig deeper. And maybe you're doing, to your point, yeah, I mean, you absolutely have to be, you're doing an awesome amount of training, so it sounds, and definitely putting in the work, and so you're definitely fit, but you're able to pull and dig deeper than maybe some people are, I guess, able to, and it's incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know. Like I don't
yeah,
I don't
that's
really
fair.
have answers. It's just like it's just yeah, it's just what I don't know. It's just what it is, or um. But yeah, I think it's what's so interesting about endurance sports, though. Like
Absolutely.
I gravitate to athletes who just dig really deep. Like I love seeing finishes of like Jessie Diggins when the Nordic skier, like when she
Oh,
like if you
they're incredible, the
I
Nordic
love it,
finishes.
like
Yeah.
Jessie Diggins is like
Totally
she
collapsed.
comes the line and she's just gonna be like and just like she's just gonna collapse and be
And you'll
like,
do the same thing. I don't know
yeah,
whether,
but like I love that. Like that's like
yeah,
it's just like I don't know. That's just so fun.
absolutely.
It's just so fun to watch. I think it's just like I think it's because like it's so contradictory to what's normal. Like most
Uh-huh.
people, like we avoid pain, so like we
Sure.
don't push that part, or we want to like glide across looking good, you know.
Uh-huh.
But then there's like then there's like some of us stupid folks who are just like, okay, let's destroy ourselves, and it's like, and everybody else like loves. I don't know, seeing that. It's just like you get, and it can happen like front of the pack, middle of the pack, back of the pack. Like
Yeah.
you just like, and I like I don't know, just people are wired different, I guess. Like I don't know, like I remember in high school in a sports nutrition class watching they showed us like a film of a lady bonking in that like in the Iron Man, you know, and she's doing the whole like
Oh yeah, the one that's
like
like
fall
crawling.
over and then
Yep.
like and
Yeah.
I remember watching this and being like I'm gonna do that someday.
That's awesome.
Like I'm gonna do an Ironman, like which I still haven't done. But like I was like probably like none of my classmates thought that. Like probably nobody watched. Probably was like that lady's a nutcase. Like
Right, it's unfortunate for her. I mean, she was so far out of electrolyte imbalance at that point, and
she wasn't a nutcase. She was like, she was doing sport. But she was like, there's a lot of things going on there. But like, yeah, I don't know if like, but I sat there. It was like it's like one of those moments where it's like, oh, it's my calling. I just felt like that's what I want to do. Like, and that's just like that's how, I don't know. That's just like how I am. Like I ran into somebody yesterday. I was out riding my stand-up bike, my goofy stand-up bike, and there was a cyclist ahead of me, and he was like a teacher from the school district I went to growing up, and he stopped and chatted with me because he, I'm like the only guy in all of Lancaster County with a stand-up bike, so like he knew it was me. He was also riding. He's like, I could tell it looked like he was kind of pushing it up the hill. And when I came up to him and chatted with him, he's like, yeah, I was like, man, if this guy beats me on that stinking thing, it was like, but anyways, I was talking to him about like, I don't know, like places I ride in the county or whatever. I was like, oh, it's like sometimes I go across the river to York County and I do like that climb up from the river that's like 700 feet and whatever. I was like, yeah, it's fun. And he was like, fun.
What?
He's like, I don't think I've ever heard anybody describe that climb as fun. So I'm like, well, it's fun to me. It's like Matt, like Lipsy told me he goes out to ski round top and runs up and down like ski round top in the off season, and people just like look at him like he's a weirdo. Like, I have to wait 5 seconds.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
It's true, yeah. It's like it's a type 2 fun, but there's people that like type 2 fun, and to them that's fun. Like Zach's saying.
So there was the clip. Let me see. I was going to also maybe I'll play. All right. Let me know if the sound comes through. I'm going to try the share screen here, and because this is something that you had just mentioned, and it was going to dovetail into the next kind of question. Let me see if it works here. Oh, geez. Is this going to work? This is going to mess me all up, but I want to play.
Why are we this close to the screen?
He's reading comments or questions.
What was I?
Okay. I was like, you were like, you said something was coming, and then Zach got really close, and I was like, I guess we gotta be close to see it.
I was reading
maybe
comments.
not.
I was reading Matt talk about people ignoring certain comments.
All right, can you see? Can you see my screen? Are you seeing you at North Face?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So let me see if it will play. Oh, maybe it's not going to play.
Zach, are they dressed as Power Rangers behind you?
Can you hear it? Is the volume on?
Yeah, I can hear it.
All right, so we're going to watch this.
Now imagine he's taking a pee. That's what happened.
Same audible.
Yeah.
So there you are, man. There's the Nordic kind of emulation. Like, yeah, to your point, I think everybody probably out there is hammering. Now let me see if I can unshare my screen here. I don't know how to do that. Let me figure this out.
Well, we're watching ourselves. Look at that.
I don't know.
This is a different
layout. All right, so with that clip, the associated question was going to be, or is going to be, All right, let me get to it here. Hold it. Wait for it.
Okay, wait for
I've
it.
got it here. All right, so based on and it's really the audible there in terms of literally how deeply you were able to pull out of it, right? I mean, you're not doing that breathing from the fans. I mean, you're literally tapping kind of the deepest kind of energy, fat burning, whatever stores, out there, which is awesome. So go ahead, and then I'll read the question.
No,
You
I
wanna
was
say
just,
something?
I was
Okay.
just gonna say, I was just reaching for anything that would burn. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
That
and
was
it was working,
sugar,
right? I mean, that was an
fat,
incredible effort.
Sweat droplets that are dropping in from my mouth. Like,
So based on your ventilatory capacity, evidenced in your final mile there of the North Face San Francisco win in 2015, our nation could have saved a ton of money by using you instead of ventilators throughout the ERs in the beginning of the COVID pandemic.
well, it's either that or I'm just like, I'm actually a smoker.
Well, it could be. I don't know. I thought that was really, I think, impressive.
Is that what the cop pulled you over for?
Yeah. Hey, I have a voice of a 10-year-old who smokes. No, that's I forget the actor who says
What does that sound like?
It sounds like the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Charlie, because there's a
Oh!
he does he does a graduation speech at this college, which is actually incredibly good. And he says that in the speech at the college. He's like, I have a voice of a 10-year-old who smokes. And that's, watch It's Always Sunny,
Wow,
and you'll
that
be
is-
like, oh, yeah, he's right. Exactly. If a 10-year-old smoked, that is what he'd sound like. But anyways, I don't smoke. That was
Well
just breathing. I was just breathing that hard at the end of that race.
All right, so the answer would be true that we could have replaced all the ventilators in the nation with just you coming in and just breathing probably 4 people.
Yeah, true, but I wouldn't want to have that job for a whole year.
No, we could have probably got a centralized pipeline and just kind of had one tube that would feed kind of across the country with you just breathing into it.
Yeah. So
Well, good thing he's an
that-
engineer too. So
All right, so I'm going to pick off a couple questions before I go to the next one that were provided earlier in the thread. So one we kind of touched on it, but then I don't know if you gave an answer, and maybe you don't know. So in like a 50-mile, and maybe the races are all different, but do you know where your heart rate hovers at the effort that you're putting in?
No.
No. Okay, that's fair. All right. Earlier in the thread, if he's still on here, Justin Scholl said, actually, I'll show it.
With that heart rate question, so every race is different. So one of the reasons I love Conestoga Trail Run, I love that race. And basically my strategy in that race is to run, maybe not quite this way, but pretty much my strategy in that race is to run the uphills. Because basically in that race, you're either going up or you're going down. So I basically just run the hills as hard as I can. And then I you kind of have to dance on the technical rocks on the downhills, so you automatically kind of recover. So basically, I just run uphill as hard as I can, and then I do what I can on the downhill, and then eventually you're going up again. So then I just go all out again. So it's basically just all out, down, all out, down, all out, down. And I love that. It's kind of like not pacing, but that's pacing for me in that race.
So to Justin's comment here, what you're doing, you're loving it, right? I mean, I guess that's part of it, right? I mean, you're in the moment.
Yeah, I think also my system is good at that. I'm good at spiking, and then I'm good at that roller coaster. That's kind of what Lake Sonoma is. It's a roller coaster. And it's I think for some reason, when I race, I feel like my body does well on that type of course where your heart rate is fluctuating, where it's spike, come down, spike, come down, spike, come down. And that's kind of my jam.
All right. That's
the soccer background.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Which is to that point for both of you, I think soccer is incredible for young kids and with neurological development, and makes them incredible runners later in terms of just the coordination they develop. And I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think soccer and lacrosse are
Galen Rupp was yanked off the soccer field.
Oh, was he as well?
Sorry. I said Galen Rupp was yanked off there. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of runners that came out of through soccer. I think it's pretty common.
So in terms of, you had mentioned in Billy's, I think it was maybe Billy's video, in terms of the UTMB. I mean, UTMB just seems like a Rubik's Cube of an event to kind of get it right. Almost like, I don't know, to pull off like a good Ironman, as was kind of brought up earlier. It's like tough to make it work on that day, like to have it all come together. It's such a long race. It's so difficult. You've had some pretty stellar efforts. I mean, you've been in the mix, you know what that tastes like. I mean, are you any closer? I mean, what do you think for you that Rubik's Cube like looks like? And is it, is it to reassess? I don't know. What does that look like? I mean, I'm not one to stab at things here.
I think, yeah, it's hard to get everything to click in that race. Or I don't know. I say that, and maybe it's not, but it feels like it is. It's just like there's a lot that can go wrong. I mean, it's like it's just running, right? It's still just running. Like it's kind of like sort of simple. But it's just, I mean, you're trying to get your body to cooperate for like 20, like if you're trying to win, basically you're trying to get your body to cooperate for 20 to 22 hours straight. Like that's a long time to keep things clicking. And there's a lot of mistakes can be made in that time also that can like snowball. So, I think I really have, like, I feel like if I think about like what are the things that I kind of feel guilty about in that race, like if I finish and I'm like, man, I keep messing up this one thing, like I should be able to get this right. It's partly like it's like the nutrition, like I've had some races in my career where I just kind of I wung it with nutrition, like JFK. I didn't know what I was doing. It's just like, okay, let's eat some bananas and drink some Gatorade, and it worked. So then you get tempted to like, and you're kind of like, this is fun.
Just do that
like,
again.
I don't plan. Like, let's just throw it together. I think it kind of goes with the ultra mindset too. Like ultra runners are kind of like, yeah, let's just figure it out, And so it's tempting to like do that. So then you go to a race and like, I don't know, you try to do that again, but then, and like sometimes it works. So then you're always like, well, let's just keep doing it because apparently winging it works. But then you have some that it doesn't work.
You know what I think was happening?
You're like, okay, maybe I should plan.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what I think was happening there at JFK? I think he was tapping again. He was just tapping into his soccer background. It was every aid station was halftime. Okay, bananas and Gatorade. Bananas and Gatorade. Bananas and Gatorade. Every aid station is halftime. Who brought the Capri Suns? Oh, wait, they're at the finish line. That's right. We don't eat those at halftime. We eat those at the end. Bobby's mom.
So maybe that's it then. You need Bobby's mom up on the UTMB course.
Yeah, probably. Like,
well, it's not Bobby's mom. I guess that's another thing. I mean, are you still self-coached? You don't have a coach over you, right? I mean,
I'm still self-coached, and to be honest, it's actually getting a coach is something I've toyed with in recent years. Thinking about it, I still don't have a coach at the moment, but I have thought about it.
I'll do it.
And
this is a great time to announce that I will be now coaching Zach.
I'll pay.
Just go for it.
I'll pay you in.
The great thing about coaching Zach is he doesn't need coached. He's a self. What we call a turnkey operation in the coaching business. He coaches himself. He pays me monthly to tell him keep doing what you're doing.
Hey,
but you had a crew there, so in an event like UTMB where you potentially have a coach, saying, and not that how races go down, they kind of go down, but you had a crew there. I mean, is the crew on top of you, knowing like what your intake is, and they're like, and especially you, where you said. And you said this, and I forget maybe some of the interviews that I read, but like the crux for you is fueling your way like through these ultras, and there's some of these aid stations where you're just like hammering. Is there somebody watching over and like saying you need to get in these calories?
Yeah, it's no, I mean, I think the closest I've come to like, I mean, I had a year at UTMB where I sat down with the nutritionist from GU and we planned it out ahead of time. She's sports Roxanne, she's the sports nutritionist for GU, and she planned out like, okay, here's what you should eat when, and we had it all very planned out. And I did feel like that was one of my best years. Like that was a year. What year was it? That was the year I DNF'd where I blew, which sounds bad, but that was also the year
But it
I
was a
kind of
good
felt
year,
like
though.
I put
Yep.
the most pieces together.
Yep.
Like that year I was actually kind of encouraged afterwards because I was like, man, it felt like it was
Mhm.
clicking. Like it felt like I was on my way to getting it right. And then my peroneal tendons or whatever freaked out and I like it just like blew up. Like I
Mhm.
just like it was I didn't see it coming. Like it was weird. I mean I was also like probably kind of tanked, but like my leg like totally freaked out on me.
That was 17. That's when you were dueling for
I
the
can't I can't remember
the years, all
anymore,
runs, but
but
you
it
yeah.
was that year with Xavier
Yeah.
where
You guys were just, and that was crazy
like
too, battling. Yep.
yeah. So I mean I don't think it's only the fueling. I think I get excited out there, you know.
Mhm.
I want to race, you know, and so I'm at like mile 40, you know, I'm at like mile 30 and like, you know, I like to race, like Eric Sensman said, I like to race, I like to compete. So like you're at mile 30 and you're like I want to race, but there's 76
Mhm.
miles left. So, you know, it's I don't know, like I like to run on a lot of like, you know, excitement and heart and passion, but over 100, that's like 106 miles is a long way to run
Sure.
off of that kind of I don't know, strategy. So where like North Face 50 races over in like 6 hours, you know, and I'm really used to going out and doing like a 3 hour training session. So like, you know, like I do that, like, you know, I do that like all the time. So it's like there, you know, I get to 3 hours, I'm like halfway through the race, you know, and
Mhm.
I'm where I am on a daily basis. And it's like, okay, let's bring this thing home, you know. But at UTMB, it's like you get to 3 hours and you're like, well, I've barely scratched the surface, you know?
Mhm.
So it's like, it's just a different, I think like in my career, I got like I had a lot of, I found like a rhythm. I found like a strategy that worked really well for like a 6 hour race.
Mhm.
Um, and that was like, that worked really well for me. And then I've had trouble like bridging the gap from that style of race and that strategy to like a 22-hour race, if that makes sense.
It does. I
So
mean, your 100 CCC, you ran really well, right? I mean, you were able to stretch that out a little bit, go a
yeah,
little bit further, and some of the other, or was it?
yeah.
I guess
I
that was
mean,
your second longest.
I've done well for up to like 14 hours of racing. Like,
Mhm.
I think when I won Madeira, I forget, I think I ran like 13 hours and 50 minutes.
Mhm.
And that worked. Now I had an awesome crew guy there that, and you were asking about the crew and
Yeah.
like, I mean, I've had awesome crew at various races. Like I'm not blaming blunders on crew, but I just like Madeira was special as like this random guy who's like that like I just randomly met from the island, found out I didn't have a crew, and he was like, "I'll crew you," and
You
so he
need to find
crewed
that
me.
guy. He's kind of like the caddy from
He crewed
Happy
me,
Gilmore. Yeah.
and he was fantastic because he like knew the island, he like knew the course, and like I remember bonking going into this one aid station, and like I bonked and I was like out of water, so I just pulled out like Roctane powder, the powder that you're supposed to mix in a drink.
Uh-huh.
I just started eating it, like I
Eating
just
it.
pulled it out, and it works. I do it in training sometimes. It's like, you know, lightning, like it just lights you up. So I saved myself with this powder, and then I got in the aid station, and this guy knew the course, so he knew like the climb out was this big climb, and he's like, you have to eat, like
Eat.
you have
Uh-huh.
to eat. And there was this epic Facebook video of me in that aid station just like, like, and I was just like downing stuff, like and that guy was just really helpful. Like I'd go into aid stations and, you know, he'd be like, you have to eat, like, and he would get me, you know. And I think with my personality, I kind of like do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that happens like, so there's a delay. So that happened like,
Yeah.
I was like, no, they didn't hear it. Oh, whoops. Sorry.
so the question
Sorry,
is,
everybody.
so the question is, did you do that and then hit mute in hopes that it would like
You could catch
in
it?
hopes that you could catch
No,
it?
I have it unmuted. I have it unmuted because I was gonna say something totally relevant once you wrap up what you're gonna say. But then I just let it rip because I was muted the whole time, and I was like, well, shit. And then I'm on a wooden chair, so it reverberated, and the acoustics in here are terrible. So that's what happened.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, that guy was great.
Can
He-
I
he-
can
he
I
helped-
say what I
helped
was
me a
gonna
ton.
say
Now,
though?
say what you're
Oh.
gonna say.
Okay, so like you're saying, that guy helped you out a ton, right? And Ian mentioned he was like the caddy in Happy Gilmore. Is that what you said?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because that would be
That's what you
that'd be
said
like
earlier, I
picking
think,
up
Ian.
that dude from the island and just bring him with you everywhere.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about that? Like he knew the course. He was like, he was your man. In Happy
Uh-huh.
Gilmore, it's a kid who plays a caddy, right? That kid is actually a
what-
professional golfer.
Oh, I guess I was thinking of that really tall dude, kind of the one that was kind of his muscle. That was like, it's because you're
Maybe it was him
You're
then.
only wearing one shoe or whatever.
Maybe it was him then. I just learned this last night. Somebody said the caddy in Happy Gilmore was like a professional golfer, and he was just like, "Yeah, that sounds goofy. I'll do it. I'll step in and be the caddy." So that guy was like, I mean, it was exactly like that. Like he was like, "This is what you got to do." He's like, he's in your corner. It's because he was exactly like the caddy.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I won't fart again.
No, that's good. That's a good fun movie fact. Like kind of behind the scenes fact. Like in Home Alone. Do you know that scene in Home Alone where he puts on the TV? He's like, "Get out of here, you filthy animal!" And then he's like,
Yeah.
That did you know that they filmed that bit just for that film? So like they created a film for
Oh,
a
really?
film.
It seemed like it was right. This old school movie that he was just like, yeah.
You just always assume it's from like some old shoot 'em up Western or I don't know, just some old movie. And it's not. It's like a movie clip that they made for a movie.
It makes a lot of sense now because every time I see it, I'm like, what kind of stupid movie is that? I'm like, that doesn't seem right. So
yeah, and it's just like perfect.
Couldn't
so
fool
you're
me.
Just like
So in those, when you got somebody, so that dude from North, so do you know what the target? I mean, I guess it really depends on the race and the effort or whatever. But I mean, what do you think you can handle, right? I mean, what does the GU nutritionist tell you as an example? What can you handle? What can your system handle in calories, kind of per hour?
And so this is. It changes race to race. So like, I think one thing why North Face 50 was like became so good for me was because I over the years like kept going back to that race and I just like kept dialing it in and I just like I think the first year I won it I actually was like my typical like unplanned self. And I remember I went to the GU I want to say factory, but like the GU office. I went to the GU office like the day before, and I met with Magda, and I probably had like a rough idea of what I was going to do for nutrition. I actually think I was thinking about eating these like bar things that GU was like prototyping that I had been using in training. And I sat down with Magda, and I basically like I probably felt funny because I'm basically I think asking her questions that I'm like, man, like she probably thinks I'm unprepared because I'm basically asking her stuff that I should already know given that it's the day before the race. But I'm like, but basically she's giving me like a tutorial on nutrition like the day before the race. And I guess I'm basically like, yeah, okay, like I'm gonna do this then. Like forget that other plan. Like Magda says do this. So and I think I must have changed it, and I did it. And then it worked. And so the next year it was like, okay, let's do that again with maybe a few tweaks. And then I got to the point where I'd practice it in training. I basically use the same method that I use race day, but I'd do it in training, like on my hard workout days. So I'd actually had this like whole thing where I'd like be like, oh, and I got to simulate training where it's like maybe there's not a ton in my stomach. So I'd like wake up and I wouldn't eat breakfast, which isn't like the race, because race morning I do eat breakfast, but I think I was trying to more simulate like later in the race when my stomach is kind of like burned through breakfast. So I'd like wake up, I would not eat breakfast. The only thing I would let myself eat was like liquids and like it was like goo stuff. I think like maybe I would have a gel, or maybe I'd have like some honey or something, but like I wouldn't have like any like real food. And then I'd go out and do these workouts, probably like 4 hour workouts. And I would just take my gels and stuff like at certain increments, and I would just practice, and I would just try and dial it in. And then I was like, it became a game of like, well, how many calories can I get in? Because like the hotter I burn this engine, like, the more I can throw in there and burn up, like theoretically to an extent, like the faster I can go. Right. So it was like toying with like how much I could do. And I think I got down to like a gel every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's like 300 calories an hour, which like 300 to 400 is what they kind of say.
The sweet spot.
But I think I was doing like a gel every 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I was also maybe doing like some Roctane drink. In addition to that, and then I tried to cut it down to like a gel every 15 minutes, but memory serves me correctly, like when I got to the 15-minute increment, that was where it like kind of seemed
overloading
like
in the sweet
it was
sugar.
maybe I was like tipping the scales then, like I wasn't in my sweet spot anymore. I was like, well, I was in my sweet spot, but I was like not the good sweet spot. Like,
and are you still on with Goo, or are they like one of your sponsors or partners?
Yeah, I am. And the like
roll the film.
Oh yeah, the strawberry hibiscus. We went to Florida and Goo was launching.
Oh, that's right. You launched a new flavor, right?
We made the commercial. We just we paddleboarded, and then it was like me and Lipsy and his buddy Nate, and I was like, hey guys, like I gotta make this video for Goo, like we're launching a new flavor, because they just ask us to do stuff, and they're like, okay, and so we
the slip on the beach was impressive.
So, Nate's the man. Like he told us he was gonna do that, but I didn't know he was gonna do that. Like he was like, and then I'm gonna backflip, and I'm like, you're gonna backflip, and then we're filming it, and he just straight up backflips, and I'm like he wasn't kidding. Like he meant he was actually gonna backflip. But like anyway,
Zach says to me, he's like, I didn't know he was gonna do that, and I was like, does it all the time. It's like a party trick.
But anyways, we made this video, and I sent it to Goo, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, I hope they use it, but like I don't know if they'll use it, because like sometimes they use the stuff, sometimes they don't. Like over the winter, I shot this whole like red green thing, like because Goo asked me for this like I don't know like 30-second clip. And I just like went off script and shot like a 6-minute red green commercial, which was like it was basically like unsolicited, like they did ask me for something, but it was kind of like the unsolicited like Instagram advice where somebody's like, hey dude, you should really do. I'm like, well, I wasn't really asking, but okay. So I just like sent them this like 6-minute like red green bit, and I'm like, I don't even know if they know what red green is. And that one never got used, but I used it, and I think people laughed at it. So it was fine. But anyways, we set this thing off. I was like, I don't know if they'll use this. And then like they had launch day where they launched the product, and they just used the whole thing. Like they didn't even edit it. They just like straight up used it. I was like, guys, they did it. Like they just took the whole thing. Like our goofy video of like crocodile hunting strawberry hibiscus, like, and I was pumped that they did, because like, we put like a solid 17 minutes into that thing. So
we worked hard on that. One take, here goes.
It was like
no editing, just smashed it together.
It was like two takes, and then the bonus strawberry hibiscus take. and then which might have been 2 takes as well. I don't anyway, but yeah, but it was pretty much off the cuff. We like
He just
we
wants
just
to see
kind
the
of
backflip twice. He just
we're
wants to
just
see the
kind
backflip
yeah.
twice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so can your body, because I think you also said that you don't have any set or specific diet, but I imagine you said eat pretty clean. I mean, you said like red meat's a big part of it. You drink a ton of milk. I don't know whether this is dated or not, but your diet's pretty clean. So did your
Yeah.
body? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I love milk. Lately I haven't been drinking a ton of milk. Well, I did just drink milk before this call because I got done training. I was like, I need something.
You
So
need some milk?
and the milk was almost all like that's like a strict term. It was almost all gone. We don't say gone, we just say all. But like, so the milk was almost all. So I just grabbed it from the fridge. And was like, ah. But yeah, no, I mean, I like to try and stay away from like a ton of. I try not to have too much like. I would have used to say processed stuff, but like there's a lot of stuff that's processed, and not all processed stuff is bad. But I like to stay with like more like whole nutrition ingredients and stuff. But I mean, I still eat ice cream.
Yeah.
I still like I basically eat everything.
Yep.
But I try to get in a lot of veggies, a lot of fruits. You know.
So I guess the
good
thread,
protein
not so
sources.
much that was more like, how did you, knowing that you're conscious like of your diet and you're not just putting down crap, like when you're putting down like a goo on that 20-minute cycle, which was also my target for a while too, like how does I feel like now maybe I'm just getting old, my body can't do what it used to, but when I'm putting that stuff down, my body's just like, what are you doing? Like, you don't need this stuff during the week. Like, I can't, what do you want me to do with this?
I always thought that's interesting. Like, I'm like, okay, ultra runners, we go out there and we run around the woods and we eat all this sugar and then we start throwing up and we wonder what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, let's think for a second. Like, what do we eat during the week? None of this.
No.
And then we go to race and we eat only this.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, so, I mean, I think that's partly why I practice it in training, is so that my body's used to it, you know. And
But is that what we should be doing? I mean, so how does the conversation go with you as an athlete with like goo? Like, are they responsive to like, basically, should we just be, is this really what, can you not give me something natural or, you know, whatever?
Yeah. So I actually have like, and this actually kind of swings back to UTMB, because I think this is also where it gets difficult in a race like UTMB, because you're going for like a full day, you know, and like, okay, I can get away with gels and like I can pretty much do a race, a 6-hour race on gel, like goo gels, goo Roctane drink, and Coca-Cola, and that works like really well. Maybe some banana, but like that's about all I need. Like that actually works really well for me for like 6 hours. But then you stretch it out to a race that takes like all day, and I think that's where it gets kind of more complicated. Like in theory, I'd like to be able to just do it on like gels and Roctane. I'd love to just do it on Roctane. Like, how easy is that? Just drink your way through a whole race. And I think Magda maybe does Western States on just Roctane, like just Roctane, which is awesome. But Western States is also not UTMB. So UTMB, it's been trying to learn how to mix in those other things so that like, because you do sometimes get to a point where you're like, well, these gels worked great for like 10 hours, but now I just don't want them anymore. And they also just don't seem to be working anymore. So that's where like, and working with Buff was interesting because they were a European sponsor. And so the Euros are kind of like, they kind of have their own like Euro perspective of things. And they would always be like, you have to eat like real food. You have to eat like other stuff. And so that was something like I tried to learn over the years, was like, okay, how do I do the mix? And when I did have Roxanne do my strategy for me at UTMB, she did do a mix. She didn't just do goo. She had goo incorporated throughout the day, but she also had like, you know, these like sandwiches and like these other like other real food. So I think I actually really do like the goo products, but I think they try to provide a product that works for people like for like what it's for like
Yeah.
fast on the go nutrition, you know, like keeping you going on a long day out, on a long ride, on a race, easily digestible, you know, using like non-competing pathways so that the body does. But there are still like, no matter how good the product is, I think the body still has like, there's kind of not like, you still have to think about what you're doing. And I think they would still be in favor as a company of like you consuming other things during a race. It's just like, this is one of the things that, you know, might help you while you race. So yeah, I don't know, like if that kind of
and maybe
answers your question, but yeah, I've always thought that's interesting that like, we have this diet and then we have this like race diet and they're so different. And then we wonder why it doesn't work.
how why you're in, right. And you can use it in training, but it does, I don't know, but that begs the question of, are you using it in training just because you're then going to use it in the race, as opposed to that's actually what your body wants? And so it'd be interesting, like you and the back end or Magnet, because she brings so much experience like to the table. It seems like there would be some sort of other, and like one of the other companies try, like I had a number of things that I brought into the store here of like bars, or what Scratch like comes up with as like, they'll mix these things into like bars, like hot, like peppers or something like that. And I'm like, dude, I don't want that when I'm out, you know, X amount of like, who wants that? Like, give me something that, I don't know, get Gouda brand, like here's our Goo branded bananas, or here's our like our Goo branded like peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or, you know, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do have a tendency to make it way more complicated than it needs to be. But like, I think I think it's a lot of trial and error, figuring out what works for you personally and practicing. So an interesting example, I think, is Matt Carpenter. So like Matt Carpenter is fascinating because like I mean, he's a legend in Colorado, but I don't know like how many people outside of Colorado pay a ton of attention to like the Matt Carpenter, I don't know what you want to call it, era, or like just him as a person. Like his records and things and accomplishments are incredible. And he is incredibly unique. Like he had this niche of like high altitude performance that was so uniquely him. Like he was just such an animal competing at high altitude. Like it was incredible. Like, in fact, and Matt Carpenter was so like meticulous. You go on his website, which probably looks like it's from like 1988, like skyrunner.com or something. And he has like all the data on like Pikes Peak, and he has these like this like pacing algorithm of like, you punch in your goal time for Pikes Peak Marathon, and it'll tell you like what all your splits should be along the way. And Alex Nichols has actually told me that Matt Carpenter was so fast above tree line. So tree line's roughly around 12,000 feet. So Matt was basically so fast from 12,000 feet to 14,000 feet that he skews the data and he skews the calculator. So if you use his calculator, you need to pad it. And basically you need to type in a faster time to get your splits right, because nobody can run above tree line as fast as Matt Carpenter could. So, which is just fascinating. Yeah. But like, and the other thing that Matt was really good at, I felt, was like, I feel like Matt was really good at making something his baby. Like, whether it was because he just really loved it or hated it, or because he messed it up and he wanted to correct it, he would just like, and maybe I'm just like, maybe I'm interpreting this wrong. Maybe I'm just like kind of making this up in my mind, but I got the impression that like he would just like focus on something and he would just zone in until he got it right. So like Leadville, the first year he showed up at Leadville 100. I mean, you think of Matt as like a marathon guy, ascent mountain runner, like a Pikes Peak marathon runner, but he did go into the ultras too. And he went to Leadville, and he, the first year, I think he like led for like 80 miles or something. And then he blew up and he didn't win. I don't even remember if he finished. He might have finished, but he didn't win. And then he he went back to the drawing board and he focused on that race, and he went back the next year and he won and he set the course record, and technically no one's beat the record since. I mean, Rob Carr did run a time on the new course, which is a little different than the course Carpenter ran, that was like arguably faster, but technically slow, because they haven't really done a conversion of courses to do anyways. Rob Carr's time was ridiculous, and it was arguably faster than Matt's time if you would like do a conversion. But technically it was still slower, so it's not the course record. But Matt set that course record, and it stood for years and years and years. And technically it still stands. And I've heard, and I don't know if it's entirely true, but they said like what Matt would do, basically what he messed up the first year was the nutrition. And what he taught himself to do for the next year was nutrition. And they said what he would do is I think maybe he was sponsored by Power Bar. I don't know. Or maybe that was his thing. I don't know. But he would take Power Bars, they say, and he would put them in a blender, and he would blend up Power Bars into water. And then he would go out and runs with his bottle, and he would sip his bottle like every 10 minutes. And like, that's how every 10 minutes he would sip his bottle, and he would go, I think maybe like whole entire days, they say, with only like eating the stuff he would eat in the race. So like that's how dedicated he was. So like a normal day of his life of training, he would take
he was just sucking down that Power Bar water or whatever it was.
Yeah, not just the training, not just not just like me, like, okay, I can't eat breakfast and I do this workout on goo, and then after that I feast. Matt's going like the entire day with just this, like, I don't know, whatever Power Bar. Hopefully it wasn't just Power Bar water, but I'd say very good chance it was Power Bar water. And I mean, that's dedication. But he showed up and he nailed it. Like, and that's really interesting. But I mean, the guy was like a mad scientist, like right down to how he carried his bottle. Like you go to Colorado Springs, people talk of the Matt Carpenter stories, and like he did the football carry. That's what he did. Like, because he was, I think, trying to come up with like the most efficient way to carry his bottle, and he carried his bottle like tucked in, like next to his, kind of like a little T-Rex or something.
Which is crazy. There's got to be so many compensatory muscle, that
but he was like.
But if he's trained it, I mean.
But these were like the things he did. Like he was like this mad scientist of a guy, but his accomplishments have stood the test of time. I mean, like,
and where is he? He's got, if I remember right, is he and his wife have like an ice cream shop in like Vail or Aspen?
He's still in Colorado. He's still in Manitou Springs. He lives in Manitou Springs, Colorado. He was like, he kind of lived up when I lived in Manitou, he was like sort of up the street from where I lived. And he lives really close to the Intamin Trail. So you'll see him out there. Like, you'll just see Matt running on the Intamin Trail sometimes. Like, he still runs. Like my buddy, one of the caretakers from Bar Camp, would always talk to him, and he's like, yeah, Matt told me like he's run like at least an hour a day for the last 6 years or something. Like he's like a streaker. Like, but yeah, he has Colorado. I think it's a chain maybe, but he has a Colorado Custard Company shop. Yeah. And it's on the main drag in Manitou, and you can go there, and like chances are he'll be there.
Lipsy,
little man behind the counter.
On your trip out there, Lipsy, that you're about to take, you should probably look for like the Colorado Custard place and figure out which one Matt might be working at, if it's right there in Manitou Springs. And you should just go in and you should just ask for like the Power Bar flavored like ice cream flavor and just like not leave. And he's going to get a call and be like, dude, I had this guy in here and he said he's not leaving until he gets the Power Bar flavored ice cream because he's about to go run up Pikes Peak and that's what he needs.
Yeah.
He'll probably if I ask for it, he'll probably do like the, look side to side and be like, okay, I have to ask for it by code name. And then he goes and he takes me. He's like, come on. It's like on Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny when they're like, we're here for the Pick of Destiny. He's like, shh, not here. And it takes him to like some secret bunker, like we'll go down the stairs of the ice cream shop. He moves aside the custard and we go in and he has a secret combination. And then he puts a blindfold on and walks me through a maze. We get to the center of the maze and there is the Power Bar custard
mustard. And he
Yeah,
gives
so
it to
you
me.
should-
And he's like,
I'm
you have to
looking
eat
forward to
here.
that.
You have to eat it while I watch you. And he can't take it out.
You can, so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that clip, actually.
There you go. But
And
they say,
Yeah, we'll see what
they
we do.
say,
We passed by
go for it.
his house when we went for that run with you and Peter Maxim at the time
Yeah,
I was out
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you were like, hey, there's his house. And I was like, wow, he gets a mail like everybody else. Here's his mailbox. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
he doesn't mow his yard because he lives in Colorado. But if he had a yard, he would mow it.
he's really unassuming. Like he's small. He's a tiny little guy. Like it's just kind of comical that like he like it also makes like that is also how you, like a tiny little guy can be a great mountain runner. Like, but like it's just I don't know what like people think he looks like, but it's just like if you point him out, you'd be like, yeah, see that dude? Like he can crush everybody in this town. Like, like it's just like I don't know. He's an interesting guy. Like just like small, unassuming, doesn't really
Funny
like
because Ali
if
Mack is the same way.
yeah, kind of, but like I feel like, but a little different. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean she is in that like she looked, like I used to joke, Allie McLaughlin's who we credit with the women's record on the Manitou Incline. She was total crusher in collegiate cross country her freshman year at Colorado. Was like, I think she was like the highest placing freshman ever at D1 nationals in cross country, except for Shalane Flanagan or something. That like her freshman year. But anyways, she's super short. She's like 5 foot maybe. And Allie
Just
and I
totally efficient little package.
she's just a machine. But she's also like she's like she's very thin. Like you just like you wouldn't expect her power to weight ratio has to be like through the roof. Like the girl used to play ice hockey. Like she played on like she is the smallest, girl. And I'm not like Allie and I are good friends. Like I don't want to her to feel offended or anything, but she is just like she's so small, and like because you see her and you think, oh, that girl is like 12, and then you're like, oh no, she's 30. Like, but like that's how small she is. But she grew up playing ice hockey, and I think she was like that girl that was so good she played on the guys team, which is incredible because like she was like girls can play on the guys team, like like there's crushers, but like she was also like tiny, and she's like playing with the dudes, and like which is just like it's just awesome. But she lifts weight, like she lifts and stuff. And I just think like if you could measure her, like you say, like, oh, I wish we could measure so and so's VO2 max. You should measure Allie McLaughlin's power to weight ratio because it's like it's got to be through the roof. And she goes up the incline like nothing you've ever seen. And I used to do the incline with her all the time, which was really good training because like I'm like I'm a typical dude and like I don't want to get beat, but Allie is insanely good, so I'm like running for my life up the incline like where is she like, okay, I got like 20 seconds, like I hope I can hold her off.
Well, out of curiosity, maybe we sent you some of the power meters. I mean, they kind of have the algorithm or whatever pretty accurate.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, I guess we could send her some and ask her to try it, but anyways, like all this to say, like I always thought it'd be funny to like stand at the bottom of the incline with Allie and just make some money, just like wait for this because we could have done it, like to just wait for those like 20-year-old like macho guys to show up, and it'd be like, hey, you see this girl right here? 20, I'll give you a 5-minute head start. $20 says she beats you to the top. And we could have made a killing, man. We could have made a killing. They'd be like, yeah, you're on. And then like, like 10 minutes later when she blows by them like a quarter of the way up the incline, they'd just be like,
you should do it. Hilarious. That's a good training day, and it would be a good kind of viral video. And that would, I don't know whether she'd be into it, but that would be hilarious.
Yeah, Allie might be into it. We
got to bring her out for a hug.
She's a fun time. Oh yeah, she'd destroy it. She'd destroy it. Yeah. That's really why I'm still in Pennsylvania, because I just really like the hot fog workouts with Lipsy and Clayton and all the Harrisburg area runners.
So, all right. So speaking, all right, that, and we'll try not to hang on you too much longer here. I know taking good bit. Well, in any case, I know people are staying up.
It's
Yeah.
a lost cause.
People are staying up with us at this point. They're hanging on. I'm watching them, so we're gonna keep going here. But
it might just be the three of us. Like
no, I'm
really-
watching the eyeballs here, and your viewers. You got some dedicated fan base out there. They're hanging on, even though we're taking them over the 2-hour mark at this point. So so when you mentioning training, and this is all right, and then we'll maybe get into discussion. All right, so this would have been one of my earlier questions. So, how long was the Haglund's deformity deforming further and cramping the run experience? Like, was that? I mean, I saw you had the one post in doing the stalking, prepping for this or whatever, where you got this blazing like desert sand dune, and you're like, and the backstory was you don't know how much like pain I was in.
Oh yeah.
Like, so how long? I mean, that had to be a hindrance somewhere.
Oh yeah, like okay, so I don't so I still have pain. I'm still I'm still trying to find my way. I'm hopeful that we are on the way out. I had an encouraging day of training today with some running, so that was really good. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, I feel like I haven't been myself for. Well, I basically lost track of time, because basically it was like, it's like you get injured and it's like you panic when it's going to be like 2 weeks, like, oh, 2 weeks off like this. No, I can't do it. And it was like, I had those phases, and then like weeks became months, and then months became years. And then like, and here I am, like still trying, like, I really feel like I haven't, like, I don't know. I feel like I haven't been myself since like 14, 15, 16. Like in some ways I feel like I haven't been myself since like 2016.
It's crazy.
But that's not all with the Haglunds. I think back in like 2017 or something, I got this weird back injury. I mean, there was a reason. I slipped on some ice and twisted funny, but like that was like the first thing. Like I got this back injury, and it just took a really long time to fix that, and it did get fixed, and I did have some good racing. So like I was still kind of myself back then. And then I got like a knee thing, but that resolved quickly. But then I think shortly after that knee thing, I got plantar fasciitis in my right foot. And so then I probably spent like 2 years with plantar fasciitis in my right foot.
And it's your left foot that was a Haglund's, if I remember the photo.
Yeah.
In my head?
So
Yeah.
for a long time, my left foot was my good foot, and my right foot was my bad foot. But the bugger of plantar fasciitis is you can kind of run with it. Like you can kind of run with it, but it's miserable. So like you're kind of yourself, but you're not fully yourself. So I just kind of had like a compromised 2 years, where it was just like even that year we were talking about UTMB that was really good. I had plantar fasciitis. Like my foot like killed me like in training. And I was in Alaska. Like I actually raced well that year. I went to I raced in Alaska, I raced in Spain, I raced in Italy. Like I was winning stuff. I was having a good year, but I was in a lot of pain. And then eventually my left foot started to hurt, and I didn't really know what it was. And I ran JFK that year with Sensman and Jared Hazen when he absolutely crushed it. And that was when I like blew up my hamstring. And my left foot had been weird, and my right foot basically had plantar fasciitis. And so like I was just a hot mess. And then I blew up my hamstring.
And that was your left hamstring as well,
That was my left hamstring.
also remember. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I came back, as I started to run again after the hamstring thing, the hamstring healed, but that left foot, which had already been problematic, but was like sort of bearable maybe, that left foot then like really kind of reared its head, and it got really bad. and then I like went through they said it was my peroneal tendons. I got a PRP injection. I just started this cycle, this like several year cycle of like baby it, time off, treatment, make my way back, and I'd always like improve, and I'd be like, okay, maybe I'm gonna get it this time. Like is it gonna do it? And I would like train and train, it would improve, and that would always just kind of plateau, and it would never get all the way better. And I'd just be like 75% Zach. I'd be like, okay, like I could go out and run, but it's not much, like I can train and I can push and I can go hard, but like it's not fun because stuff still hurts. And
Which makes it all the more incredible, right? I mean, maybe everybody I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of runners at any given time are dealing with something. I mean, something's nagging. I mean, you guys are putting your bodies, you guys and gals, putting your bodies through like a lot. But to think of how much you are accomplishing and some amazing performances that, again, when I'm reiterating that you're already hitting above in some regards, like your body's weight. Like I knew that the Hagelins wasn't coming overnight, so it's just all the more amazing how much you were able to do.
I guess, but it's also maybe a little stupid.
Sure.
Like,
but
I might not be in this position if I wasn't so stubborn, or like.
Yeah, but who knows, right?
Yeah, and it's also hard because I think one thing I've kind of learned of it, like through this process, is like I can't really judge other people's injuries. Like injuries are just hard. And you know, people you say, oh, well, that was a really bad one, or this was a really bad one, or like this was the worst thing I went. They're all just hard. Like all injuries are just hard. And it's not really like, we don't need to like spend time like hashing out who had the worst injury, or like, you know what I mean? Or like what was career ending and what was, they're just hard to every person, whatever your injury is. It's just hard, and they're not an exact science, and they can be hard to figure out. And like, you can't be like, oh, well, like your injury was nothing compared to my injury. It's like, well, no, like my injury was terrible for me, and your injury is probably terrible for you. And they're all just
When you say 75%, right? I mean, that could be the same. Like, everything's taking some sort of chunk off of somebody's capacity, and a lot of people have something going at any given time. So whether it's just you or everybody that's surrounding you, like in these front fields or middle packs or whatever, it is just pretty impressive. But it just seems all the more impressive for somebody that's a back-of-pack runner, right? I mean, they may be digging just as deep and taxing their bodies just as much. And but to look at that front end, and maybe because you all become what we perceive as this pinnacle, even if your effort is similar to a backup, even if backup packers out there for 40 some hours at like UTMB or whatever, like that's nuts to be out there as long as some of those runners. And so everybody's got some sort of hindrance there, but it's impressive to see how much, and knowing that all right. So with that, I'll stop jabbering on that. So here's another question related to the Hagelins. All right. So which one of these two is more likely to be true? The North Face looked into acquiring the patent from Reebok for their 90s pump technology after learning that your bony deformity is often referred to as the pump bump. Or the North Face, recognizing that their running shoes have historically been not very good and fearing being blamed for the development of your pump bump, tried to get ahead of the story by developing the Vective lineup.
I'm going to go with B.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good one. And so for all of you out there, this threw me back to my orthopedic education days, where when I saw Hagelins, I was like, oh, this is Zach the Pump Bump Miller. And so often I shouldn't say often, I don't actually know the percentage, but in some cases attributed to middle-aged women in a certain amount of time wearing high heels with a fairly rigid back to the heel would exacerbate basically what Zach's got going on.
Yeah, but fortunately they hacked.
And that was the first thing that I told them too.
It's those high heels.
Yeah,
got to get rid of those high heels. Yeah.
So, are you a part of that lineup? Are you? And I guess you've been kind of injured during this release, but you must have had access to kind of the pre-line. I mean, in terms of the North Face testing and product? Are you a Vective person, or what are you wearing from their line?
Oh yeah, yeah. I like the new Vective stuff. Actually recently of the Vective line, I've been most into the Endurus. Now, I mean, I'm also like trying to make my way back from this Hagelin surgery, so like my foot is like maybe a lot more picky right now. The Endurus is like probably the most plush shoe in that line. So yeah, the Endurus has been the one that, you know, I've like over the summer and stuff. I was more like I was rocking, I guess, the Infinite, and I was watching the Infinite and the Flight, and then I also had some like protos that were like crossovers of like the two, but then the Endurus is lately what I've been digging into. But then I'm also like, yeah, they guinea pig me with stuff, so I actually have another shoe right now that I don't think
show.
I can really talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
But that's actually kind of, I've been testing that out for them, and that's actually one that I've been gravitating towards lately, and liking. So, but I can't really.
I've actually seen that shoe.
Anything about it.
I've actually seen that shoe, and I could talk about it. And I could talk about it, and I'll tell you what it looks like. It looks like that if the North Face made a Croc and then put a Heeley in the back, and they lit up. And it also has sparklers, and we have to light the sparklers. So sometimes he lights the sparklers while we're kicking around. It's crazy. I'm like, wow, what the heck are those? And he's like, oh, these are things? I can't talk about them. Area 51.
But it's for exploration, so it does have a gator too.
Oh, absolutely. It's a Croc and a gator. Yep.
A Croc.
And there's
it's
American
like
chestnut leaves imprinted on the gator.
A crossbreed. Yeah. Well, Matt actually, Matt has a Croc gator. I don't know, Ian, if he's tried to get you to sell it at your store yet.
No, I don't think so. I actually reached out.
Yeah, like,
maybe we can go there. I reached out to Crocs, but they won't open me at the moment.
So this winter, Matt's girlfriend was like, okay, I got to make sure that nobody comes after Matt. So what can I buy him that just screams like off limits, so she bought him these Crocs with gators, so like Croc with like a winter Croc, but I think there's still like holes in it, right? Like but you wear it in the snow.
There's holes in it. Yeah there's holes in it, but it worked. You know, it keeps all the snow and wetness out. I've gone out for 8 hours in these things, and they're just amazing. But yeah, for sure, you look at those and you're like, that guy's not getting laid. That's who you think when you see him. You're like, it's over for him. But that was the whole point. She was like, these things are so stupid that I have to get these things. She saw them and she was like, gotta get them for him. So yeah, no, I got them and I walk around with them and I wear them in the most inappropriate places on purpose. And they get people going, you know, like one guy actually tried to fight me he's like, I want those. They wanted to fight me for them. Nah, that never happened, but
just make sure you wear them when you're out making your stand in the Colorado Custard, waiting for your Power Bar ice cream. Just make sure you're rocking those things. So when you're in the news coverage of that dude, that like,
I always got those things on me.
You're rocking those. Yeah.
I never leave home without them. If I leave home without them, bad day.
We should really pitch that to Matt, like the power, because he has all these blends, these products where he takes like a slice of apple pie and blends it with his custard, and it's
I totally make the endurance lineup.
I forget what he calls them, but he should have like the Matt Custard one. The Matt Custard.
The Matt Custard.
That's like a power bar and custard. Maybe it will like be so popular, like save Power Bar's business, because I feel like that, you know, like the whole evolve or die concept. They might have missed that boat.
You kind of stuck to their guns on that one, and that was a bad choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could, and I wonder why some of these companies don't. And maybe I don't know, and that would be fun. I don't know what your leverage and experimentation with some of your sponsors are. So there was some of the, and it's cool that you're rocking some of the North Face, and maybe you can get them to call it the North Face Conestoga once it comes out. It would be
There we
cool.
go.
Got the sway with the goo to come out with something. What's going to get you that next when your body taps out of like goo, even if it's a really limited market? Like, what's your next thing? It seems like a lot of the people in Vinny had chimed in here earlier from Happily Running, another RD, just that. Here, I mean, it seems like people are gravitating more away. I mean, the market swung, right? I mean, Spring Nutrition, as an example, was like Huma and then Spring, and it's like this evolution to something that's like more natural. And I haven't seen Goo quite tap that yet. They didn't quite hit it with the waffle when they went after Honey Stinger's waffle. And I feel like there's something that could be done there, but it would take somebody who's out 60 miles to.
Yeah, I don't know. Goo did branch off with their. I don't know if they do have their Boone line now. They have like a sub. There's like a subset of Goo called Boone.
No, I don't know that.
And it's nut butters and waffles that are like more for like snacking than for like running, if that makes sense. It's kind of like a healthy snacks line. It's, I don't know. I tested the nut butters for them and like they're awesome. but yeah, it is like Goo has kind of like stuck to their Goo niche.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of thought that goes behind. I think there's a lot of thought that goes behind their product. I feel like they've been focused on like trying to get what they feel is like like what's the most helpful for like what to have like while you're running, I guess, if that makes sense. Like eat your salad when you're eating your dinner and have your high energy stuff when you're out of it. But anyways, yeah, it's all interesting to watch the different things that hit the market and the different strategies. And the good news for the non-sponsored runner is that like you end up with lots of options because there's lots of companies doing lots of different things. So
and Coke, you mentioned Coke as part of your race day kind of nutrition that all these awesome. You tap into. I think it was one of Matt and I teammates, Ben Nephew, when he and I were, and some guy from California were running together for the first, I don't know, maybe 25 miles of Manitous, and they kept going, and I blew up because I think I was only doing like 20 miles a week or whatever, and that was kind of where I tapped out. But in those opening miles, jockeying back and forth with Ben, like here you get this classic. He's wearing a 2-bottle holster on his hip, and his thing is like 2 26-ounce bottles of just like Coke, and he's just hammering this Coke from like the get-go or whatever, and then just has like these S caps, and that's like his race day nutrition for the. And so when I see somebody like that, and I see how much of us use Coke on an aid station race basis, which is similarly like, what's my body will take it. It'll get like the boost or whatever, but it's saying like, what are you doing? Like you're not drinking this stuff like during the week, but it baffles me. An entity like Coke wouldn't have some sort of embrace of like an endurance line based on just how much it's getting used.
There was a runner with Coke sponsorship, I think, back in the day. Somebody had it. I forget who it was. It was like Gina Lucrezi or it was one of the women. And I don't know exactly how that came to be, but I'm pretty sure somebody had a Coke sponsorship. I don't think it like lasted the test of time. Somebody says it was Lisa Tamati. That could be. But yeah, it was. Yeah, you do kind of. It does kind of seem like there's an untapped
possibility
product line for them, but then you also consider how big Coke is and
who do they get right?
And how much of a niche sport ultra running. Like everybody, like all us ultra people were right. Like we're like ultra or trail running people. Like like we're like, oh, it's the biggest thing ever. Like everybody knows. Like you know what I mean.
And right, it's not actually a flash in the pan for anybody.
And then you have to do like a gut check, and you're like. Wait,
you're the dude that's running up that climb on next to the river, and you're like,
you have to go to your local grocery store and like stand in like aisle 15 and be like, does anybody know what ultra running is? And then when you hear the sound of crickets up and down every aisle, you'll be like, okay, yeah, that's right. Like it's a weird sport. Like it's just me.
All right, so what about goo? I'll buy it for my races if they give me the 2 liter at like $3 a 2 liter. Give me the goo cola.
Yeah, there you go. Well, they
I'll
have
start
they have the cola
They
gel.
have the cola flavor, right? I mean, you can get that, but no, I mean, give me the cola. Like, no,
Yeah.
don't give me, the whatever. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. There should be like a cola Roctane, like a Coke Roctane.
and it should just be like, we're not even putting Roctane, we're not even putting the amino blend in it. It's
We're
just like
we're
Coke.
just in the back room.
It's
under
high
the cover of
fructose corn syrup
darkness.
and it's water.
No,
And
it's
it's
just
actually
straight,
bad
it's just
water.
straight Coke. They're just gonna go
Oh,
buy,
yeah. It's the transfer.
buy Coke, or maybe RC Cola if it's cheaper. Like, and then they're just gonna transfer it. Like, or maybe they'll just switch the labels because they're environmentally friendly. So they don't want to waste all that
This
plastic.
tastes
So
a
they'll
lot
just-
like RC. No, it's not actually. That's good.
Oh, you can't hoodwink me with that. I know the difference between RC and Coke.
It's not RC, it's RACE. It's a new formula.
With really small font for those letters in between. Like how small of a font could you get away with without getting sued? Like RC, but like are we talking like, can we do like 0.5 size font and still not get sued? Like, oh no, there's an A in that, you can't sue us.
So there's a lot of business ideas here. All right, so you've got the taking your
That's me and Matt. We're always hunting a side project.
yeah,
Like,
which
we
is
might not
awesome.
have a side project. Our side project is hunting a side project.
Mhm.
Except Matt got sick and actually found a side project because he started drawing. But like, yeah. So, but we're always up for a good side hustle. Like, everybody needs a good side hustle.
Yeah, you should see the board. Yeah, you should see the board. We've got a board with all of our ideas, and then we always just we yeah, this will work, and then this, and then that, and the idea gets more and more elaborate. They were like, yeah, it'll never work. Don't go back to the board. But you should see the board. It's got a lot of ideas on it.
One day, we're gonna make a lot of money.
All right. What else? Anything else that would be fun to talk about to kind of get into closing out, or anything that in terms of like new products, anything from your sponsors or partners, or anything that is being worked on that you want to plug, or that would be good to plug, or anything that it's okay if you're like, but giving you the window.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Let's see. I'm still, have you, so I heard that you had, so you started carrying the Vective shoes in your store, but you had initially come to North Face because you were after the Future Light jackets. Is that
pretty awesome? Yeah.
Are you still into those? Are you selling those?
I haven't booked for the fall.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Because I use, like, that's one of my favorite product, like, it was one of my favorite things they came out with in the past couple of years. And I was actually just out this evening wearing my Future Light jacket. Like, it's spring, and like I have like a lot of jackets I could choose from to go out and train on a day that's not raining, and I took a rain jacket, like, which I think says something either about me, maybe I'm weird, or about the product, in that I'm actually pretty comfortable wearing a rain jacket on a night that's not raining. So, for people listening, if you're looking for, like, I mean, I don't, not to be an infomercial, but I think sometimes people do wonder, like, okay, like the elites or the pros, like what do they actually recommend? Like, what is the stuff that they really like using? And I really do like that Future Light stuff.
And it's not a paid partner here. I would agree. I think the Future Light fabric is really impressive. It came out at the top of our head-to-head waterproof shell testing, and so yeah, I would echo you there. Yeah, and then I guess other stuff. Oh, some hacks. We should share some hacks. So, like, I've been coming up with new pro tips, new hacks, because, like, I'm coming back from surgery, so I'm training a little differently with, like, a lot more cycling and stuff. So I'm learning, like, new ways to eat
I'm also learning new ways to pee because like I've now also trained myself not just to pee on the run, but like I now also pee on the bike, and I
So
also pee on
civilized.
the stand-up bike, which is my which is my elliptigo stand-up bike, which is like it's not for being sexy, it's not for being like it's not for like smashing roadies on the road. It's basically just for fitness and like and for fun because it's like like if you're gonna look like that while you're training, you better be having fun, which I am. Like I have lots of fun standing up on my stand-up bike, jamming around Lancaster County. But anyways, I taught
Which is
myself-
not that weird in Lancaster County, right? I mean, you get a lot of the Amish or Mennonite community out there
like,
already on the stand-up scooters.
Like I passed the little Amish boys on their stand-up scooter or their scooters, like they're scooting along, and I'm standing on my goofy bike, and we're just like, hey, we're all just the weirdos. Like, so maybe they're not weirdos. They're that might be a little harsh there to say, but like.
We're playing the Chappelle clip
Yeah.
before we close. All right, keep going.
So, but anyways, so I taught myself to pee off the stand-up bike, which is like I think one of my more impressive accomplishments because like you don't have a seat to balance on, so you're just like standing on your pedals, and then you have your two hands, but then you're losing a point of contact there if you're peeing off the bike. So like, but anyways, I taught myself to do that. So I guess that's I don't even remember why I started telling that story. Oh, because my new hacks. So
Yeah.
So for goo. So one pro tip. Hold on, I gotta get my stuff. I'll be right back.
And so for all of you out there still with us, thank you for joining us tonight. Let us know if there were a lot of comments. Thank you for making comments. Matt, in a second here, I'm going to let you respond to VT Rider 82, who's still waiting for your special lasagna sauce. Hang on, Zach, your special lasagna sauce recipe. And then any of you else out there, if you got any comments or questions specific, again, it can be like training stuff that we didn't cover, race stuff, tips that you want, training questions that you've got out of Zach, for sure, let us know. We can try to answer your specific questions here. And then for the moment, Matrix Lasagna, you got to come up with a secret sauce because VT Riders wanting to know.
Well,
Okay,
like I said earlier, it is a secret, but the recipe, I'll let you in on the secret, I guess. It's actually water and Power Bar, and that's pretty much it. And that's what I use for my lasagna sauce. So that's why it's so good.
That's awful.
But don't tell anybody, and or I'll find you.
You got to get the oregano concentration, the Power Bar just right. All right, here comes the hack. What you got?
Okay, so this one actually, like, I figured this out like last year, I think. And then Goo actually shared it on their site, and Rob Carr's mind was like blown because like he didn't know about it either, and I actually like just recently knew about because I don't know, I figured it out one day. But like in the Goo chews, which this is like I've been thinking lately, I'm like, if you're using gels and you don't use chews, you should really try out chews because I was like just a gel guy for a long time. We sold chews at Bar Camp and they disappeared like candy. And it was like, whoa, I didn't know people like these things so much. And then I started eating them and I'm like, okay, it's like candy. It's like fruit snacks. And it's really good. So I've been on a real chew kick lately. But the hack with these is you don't have to rip them open like this. You can actually just push them through the tube. Like Goo makes them that way. So like what you can just like work one to the end and put your mouth over it like that. This one I already ate. And then you just like rip it out like that, and the chew just comes out, slides out the end. Like it just opens it and comes out at the same time. Like, and you can even sometimes do it with your thumb. Sometimes they're harder than other times, but generally it works because like I ride my bike and I'm out there like one hand in it and pulling these out and just like ripping them out, So like it's great. And then my other hack that I came up with recently, which I'm like, okay, I'll show you because this one's not caffeinated. I'm gonna use strawberry kiwi because it's like I don't know, it's like 10:30 or something. So I'm not gonna down one of these. What I got here, I'm not gonna down this like cold brew coffee with with 70 milligrams of caffeine. That wouldn't go so well. It would go really well for like 2 hours, and then when I want to go to sleep, it'd be terrible.
Sorry, so we're going to take the live interview at the same time as your North Face 50 current best. We're heading for 6 hours. All right, keep going.
Okay, so I figured this out on the bike. So because eating is even harder, is kind of harder on the bike, at least for me. So if you rip so I'm always like trying to do everything with one hand, like get it out, eat it, and stash the trash. So I figured out that if you rip off the tab with your teeth, now you got this hand on the handlebar of your bike, so you can't use that. But I don't want to. I'll take this out for so you can hear me. But I don't want to go to my stash pocket twice. I only want to go there once because it's just like all. You don't want to do it more than you have to. It's all like a balancing act. So I figured out that if you flip this down into the front of your lip, like that, it's right there. Right there. You can eat the gel. You can eat the whole gel. And then you can flip this out and put it in with one hand. This hand's still on the steering wheel. And then you can, oh man, look, I'm like, I can do this while I'm riding. And then today the thing fell out. And then you can fold it up, like click your sheath and all one hand. And then you can stash it away in your fanny pack or whatever you have. Like I use this little like waist belt from North Face. So it's like a fanny pack. So I stash it in there. But like, and then you hopefully don't wreck your bike. But I figured out that hack. But I thought about sharing this on the internet, which I guess this is the internet. But then I had a second thought because I was like, oh, somebody's going to choke on that tab.
Somebody's going to choke on it.
And then they're going to sue Goo or they're going to sue me. And I hope they don't sue me.
Make Matt film it and just put it on Matt.
This whole,
so if anyone asks, this was Matrix Lasagna's idea. but for those daring,
what's funny?
I do this. Like, it works. I haven't choked yet. Not yet. Maybe just a little bit.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny is that now that I'm hearing all this conversation about your challenge to do things with one hand and how you're like always looking, it makes so much more sense because we were at camp and I don't know what everybody's laughing about, but we were at camp. We went on this camping trip and I was like, all right, time to make some eggs or something. And I cracked an egg with one hand. Oh, I think it was New Year's. And I was like, all right, you want some eggs? I'll make you breakfast. So I was making everybody breakfast. And I was like, how many eggs you want? And I cracked the egg with one hand. And I do it all the time. And Zach was like, did you crack that with one hand? And I was like, yeah, I do it all the time. And then like, now it makes more sense because I'm like, he's just always trying to figure out, like he was on a bike making eggs. He's like, I gotta know how to break an egg with one hand. Like it makes more sense now. Okay, I get it. Because I was like, I had to walk him through. I had to walk him through how to crack an egg with one hand. I was like, yeah, you just tap the edge and then you exploit the hole with your thumb and then it just split the shell, throw it away, grab another one. But yeah, it's making more sense now. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
I liked your, and I showed it to, I think my daughters and wife as well, the whole household on your flammable orange spray. Yeah, that's
a hack that everybody should know.
That was pretty. I was like, I don't know whether there was some sleight of hand trick that something else was happening there or whether it's legit.
That's totally real. We used to do that in college, but I don't remember it ever being that good. And then we went to Florida. It must be those Florida oranges. Like I squeezed that sucker and it was like, I'm not going to say that could be offensive, but it was like a bomb went off. It was a bomb, but it was like a mini fireball. It was like, like people probably don't know what we're talking about. Like, so the like mist.
He was going to say Hiroshima.
Basically. So the like juice mist that comes out of an orange is flammable. Like so if you take an orange peel and you basically snap it, like you kind of snap it and squeeze it and it'll be like you know how sometimes like when you're maybe like trying to peel it and you bite it with your teeth and it kind of it's that stuff. And you do that right over like a lighter and it'll just go up in flames. We used to sit in the dining hall in college and do it over, like they'd have these fancy like Christmas dinners and we used to make the freshmen pay for us to get us in, like because they had like whatever Monopoly money, and so we'd get the underclass. I mean, if anybody asked, we didn't do that, but we did that, and we'd sit at the tables and they'd have candles, which is kind of bold move. College kids
Bold move.
they have candles on the table, and then we'd get oranges, and we'd sit there. We'd light these oranges. We'd light this stuff on fire, but yeah, it was like, but I never saw it like I did in Florida. Like we were just in Florida. I was like, hey guys, I don't even know. I guess we just had oranges, and I was like,
It was impressive.
or whatever.
And if I could quickly find it, I would play it for those still here with us, but I'd have to really dig.
Matt probably has it on his phone, but we would probably have to wait like 6.5 minutes,
Yeah, that would be a long flame.
and then another 5 seconds.
Yeah, not only that, but you have to wait for me to charge it because I think it died. I think it's
Oh,
dead.
Those one outlet households are really tough. Got to wait in line.
All right. Good stuff.
You're
So I
right.
think
You would
we
know
covered
that
most
since
of
you're
it.
Amish.
And that's the segue. Because you guys have not watched the Chappelle clip. All right, I'm going to take the viewers. I'm going to go back.
No.
And we are going to roll the film. Let me refigure this out here. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic here in a minute.
Talk against ourselves. What
I got
on
it.
earth are we gonna say?
What's your favorite kind of cheese, Zach?
My favorite kind of cheese. Yeah. Oh, Swiss cheese.
Oh, wow. You know, Swiss cheese isn't actually made in Swiss, right?
What do you mean it's called Swiss cheese?
Oh, wait, hold on. The clip's about to play. We'll have to talk about that some other time.
Rats.
All right, here you go. And for all of you, this was appropriate just as I grew up on the eastern flank of Lancaster County, surrounded by some Amish farms, and these guys are in the relative hotbed. And so I found this pretty funny, and Chappelle's been one of my outlets or go-to, and I don't know. So, all right, so here we go. Rolling it. The distractions from the audience there, but that was
I
good.
love that he calls him Zeke. It's like his name's Ezekiel, but he says, "Yo, what up, Zeke?" I love that part.
Oh man.
All right. So for all of you hanging with us, thank you so much. Zach and Matt, thank you for being on here so much. I'm sure there's Matrix lasagna. I don't know if anybody's craving. I'm excited for your trip coming up. But Zach, I imagine there's people that want your attention and insight. And so I appreciate you making some time here.
Yeah.
And I would love to connect with you guys at some point. Matt, hopefully coming up here. Hopefully your health continues to come back, and we can for sure connect out there. And then Zach, hopefully you end up someplace amazing, and I can join you on some trails wherever you might be.
Yeah, and hopefully with a healthy foot. I'm working at it, and making some progress. So hoping for the best.
Cool. Well, thank you. And all of you, again, who tuned in, thank you so much. And we will check you next round of TC Live, whenever that will be.
All right.
All right. See ya.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Later.